Well, black people are Native Americans. We've had, a lot of proof that, some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa.
What are they doing here? They're Indians.
This is one of my many unsuccessful experiments. You see, with Indians, there's absolutely nothing to be done. There's the same difference between a Negro and an Indian as there is between a dog and a coyote. You can put a dog on a leash, beat him, and he'll always be there to lick your feet. Take away a coyote's liberty, and you've cut off his heir. An Indian will never be a slave. No one has ever been able to make them reproduce in captivity. They do not eat, they do not talk, they do not sleep, they do not make love.
There are several things that are significant about it. Of course, one of them is the way that colonialism tries to develop all kinds of elaborate classification terms for different kinds of people, but that's another subject. The most significant thing here is to reveal the much greater amounts of Native American ancestry that are present within the African American population than most people realize, because they might have been misled by the use of terms like mulatto and also people of color.
After the African, LeVar Burton, had been told that his name was to be Toby, and he refused it, and he was beaten to make him say his name was Toby.
That was the dramatization. How much of that actually was recounted to you? I mean, was there a lot of interweaving?
A lot of it, I thought maybe you were going to ask, and maybe you are in another way, is how much of the book is fact and how much is fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction.
Now, this is just a tiny bit of information now.
But they take it as huge.
Right, because it's cracking open the door.
There's a place in Africa you could say that I'm from. A tribe? I am thrilled. It puts a name, a place, a location, a people.
Hank really is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have the largest...
He didn't exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
it's less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%.
And that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very important.
You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa. I am from Detroit, Motown. So you can want Tootsie your monkey ass back to Africa if you want to.
How y'all doing? Do I have my light on? No, I ain't got my light on, girl. Hold on. There we go. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Happy Educational Friday. Happy Educational Friday. You guys get up in here and like the video. Please like the video. We up in here. Shout out to Top Cats. I was over there on his channel earlier. I wish I could have finished the live, but I got a phone call. But girl, you know what I'm saying? We got some things to discuss today. Henry Louis Gates is a paid shill to promote the out of Africa theory, another high-paid Boule shilling for the massa to mislead our people. I'ma stop you when you start lying. There you go. See, we already on the same page. We already where we need to go. Now listen, let me tell y'all something. We got Divine Nine people in our family. We got people in our family who are Masons. This ain't personal, fact. If you feel played, that's on you. I don't know what to tell you. But we are going to get into what really happened down there with the, you know what I'm saying, with the history of this stuff, because it's funny. Because, thank you for saying that, Big D. I appreciate you. Look, let me show y'all something. Y'all remember when Scamala, hold on, let me cue it up. But do you guys remember when Scamala recently went to her Divine Nine thing and she said, "Hey, all my sorors," y'all remember that? hold on, let me go get them. Because listen, it is all connected. I've been telling y'all this from the very beginning. All of this is connected. I told y'all also, it's weird that the Divine Nine monopolizes all of the main major how do I say? They monopolize all of the major successful careers and career fields because they are monopolizing it and gatekeeping as well. Okay? Now, again, this is no shade to nobody who's Divine Nine or who's Greek or Freemason, because if you're a Negro, you're a Freemason. You're not a Mason. There's a difference. However, and I don't think that all of our people are in on the joke or in on the scheme, but the organization within itself is problematic to the Black community. And these people, what they do is these Black people, they get into these positions and they get to acting like, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I'm for the people, but your regular behind can't get up and go down there and get a job. Does that make sense? So I want to show y'all something, because the internet is waking up, everybody waking up, and I think it took this Scamala thing to happen, but the people are waking up. Look at Scamala down at the doggone, at her Black Caucus, Congressional Black Caucus dinner. She done turned black, y'all. Look.
Divine Nine, brothers and sisters, and my soror. And to all my HBCU brothers and sisters. Hello to all my Divine Nine brothers and sisters. And my soror. And to all my HBCU brothers and sisters.
You know, I was talking to a clear woman at my job, and they all know the tread light with me when they talking about race relations and all of that. But this clear woman told me at my job today, and she made so much sense that I had to I couldn't even feel played by this question. You know what this clear woman told me? She and I both don't like Scamala, so we talk politics all the time. Do you know, this clear woman asked me this question. She said, Boule, I don't want to come off racist. I swear to God, I'm not being racist. So immediately, I got my ears up because I'm waiting for this helper to say something out of pocket so I could bop. You know what I'm saying? Not physically, but get it together. So she asked me, she said, you know, we both have our issues with Scamala. Well, she called her Kamala, but we both have our issues with Scamala for the purpose of this live right here. She said, and I watch her get in front of like Black crowds, and she always changes her voice and her accent to match the crowd that she's at. She said, but the most disrespectful thing that I've seen her do is when she get in front of the Black crowds, she all of a sudden comes up with what we would call a black scent. Like she has to have the long draw. She was like, just out of curiosity, she said, are Black people not feeling disrespected by that? And she said, I swear to God, this is a genuine question. She said, my husband and I, we talk about this type of stuff all the time. She was like, and I know it's a touchy subject. She said, but do Black people not feel disrespected by her doing that, especially knowing that that isn't the way she really talks? And I said, you know, people who understand what's going on, yes. We feel disrespected, but do the masses feel disrespected? No. And I said it's for a multitude of reasons. You have to understand, most of us think that anybody with melanin, we're all the same. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us are still under the indoctrination that anybody with melanin is us and we're them, right? I said, secondly, you have to understand, under that same umbrella of indoctrination, we are told that, hey, since she's you and you are her, it doesn't matter where she comes from. It doesn't matter her history. It doesn't matter her lineage. It doesn't matter anything about that because you do it all the time. Remember when you pick up the phone and what do you call that? Code switch? I said, so most Black people look at it as not disrespect because just like I'm at work talking to you, I have a different way of dialect or a different dialect and way of speaking versus when I'm at home speaking to family or friends. So I say, so to answer your question, Unfortunately, the mass majority of us do not feel disrespected when she changes up her accent to accommodate the crowd in which she's speaking. I said, and it is unfortunate because it is a very small, minute few of us who understand that this is the most disrespectful thing any candidate could have done. Bill Clinton was deemed the first black president, and he didn't never try to talk like he was black or act black or make it seem like, you know what I'm saying? Make it seem like he was something he's not. And we still were able to look at him during that time in the 90s and say, OMG, he's the first black president, because it wasn't necessarily about who he identified as. It was really necessarily about who we relate to. This is the issue with Scamala. We don't even relate to Scamala. There's not one black American, man or woman especially. We don't relate to Scamala. There's nothing in Scamala's history or present that we can relate to right now. Nothing. Period, point blank. However, we have been told by the media that she is you. That's why you have plies going on Twitter. Oh, she's a black woman. She's a black woman. She's a black woman. All of these social media people, all of these media people, black woman, she's black, she's black. And we know good and well that lady ain't black. I mean, if we're looking at skin color, a lot of us do think that she's black. But we know as far as the black American experience, that lady is not black. The only people who are pushing that idea or ideal is who? The media, celebrities, and her organizations, the Divine Nine. Now, this is where that buffer system comes in. We talk about the buffer system all the time over here. I said that there was no way that small, minute few would be able to be successful without this Divine Nine, aka that buffer system. Well, her father is Irish and allegedly Jamaican, and her mother is an Indian woman. That ain't enough Jamaican in there. Her mother is straight from India, and her father is of Irish descent. That is the fact. Now, how they snuck in the Jamaican, maybe because he later on moved there, I don't know. I know his family owned slaves. However, you have to think about that. She's not, and Jamaican ain't a color. Well, I showed y'all the Asian Jamaicans, remember? The Asian Jamaican who came on here and said Jamaican is not related to a color, it's a culture. So where am I going with this? Scamala seems to be one of those people who made it up on her own merit. That's not the truth. That is not the truth. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Scamala Harris has scammed her way and allegedly slept her way up to where she is. Not only that, Scamala has an easy way in because guess what? Scamala is a part of the Divine Nine. Also, remember this. The Divine Nine looks out for their own. Period. Let's give you an example. I go up for a job. I got my degree. I got my PhD. I'm ready to go be a psychologist or psychiatrist or something. I'm ready to go be a psychiatrist. I go up to the place, put my application, put all my stuff in, and the girl next to me, who's not even as qualified or have as much education or experience, she's a AKA, right? So the person on the hiring board largely, if they're Negro, consists of Divine Nine members. It don't matter if they Delta and the girl is an AKA. The problem is she is more than likely going to get that job long before me, way before me. Just off the fact that she is a Divine Nine member and I am not. Doesn't matter if I'm the most qualified. The fact is she has a way in because she's culted in and I do not. Okay. Now, why is this important? I've told you this also on this channel. The Divine Nine has a way of making it look fun. That's why they do the stomping. That's why these are all recruiting tactics. But the Divine Nine is nothing but a small branch off of the Boule. And the Boule and the Freemasons are intertwined. Okay? It's just one is the uppity Negroes with the education and the other ones ain't. As far as the Freemasons and the Divine Nine. Now, when you look at all these people in these high spaces and all these celebrities, look, pay attention. Pay attention. They got celebrities going inducted into Divine Nine. Yeah. Patti LaBelle just got inducted, and the girl from Mary, the cute one. I'm not saying the other one ugly, but she cuter than the ugly one. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They both just got inducted into the AKAs. Now you ask yourself, dang, what's her name? Patty, about 89 years old. What she need to be going into the Divine Nine for? Because it is all connected. And it's all curated at these freaking HBCUs. Now, I've seen here recently that there are people who are saying, oh, they have an issue with the clear people becoming Divine Nine members. And I'm over here saying, well, technically, they're the ones who helped you started it. That really branches off of Negroes, allegedly, wanting to be like the carbon copies. They want to be carbon copies of the originals. We spoke about Sigma Pi Phi. We spoke about, Phi Sigma Pi? They just literally changed the letters around. Fat Joe was inducted? Oh my God. That's weird. But it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me at all. Literally, it doesn't surprise me not one bit. Thank you for the super chat, Richie China. I love Educational Fridays, but I'm drinking, so I'll be on the replay game tomorrow, Vu. All right, baby. That's all right. Get your drink on. It's Friday, as you should. Thank you, the one you want to be. I love and respect you, Vu. Thank you so much. Acorn, thank you so much. Oh, my God. Thank you for the generous super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We about to get into some things. MOB, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Hey, Acorn, they found the clear girl guilty. You talking about Carly Gray? As they should. Now, we need to wait for the sentence. If they found that little clear girl guilty who I was talking about this morning, I think that's the best thing. But what's going to be the sentence? Is they going to put her down at the crazy house, or is they going to bring her to prison? You know me. I advocate for the firing squad or the hanging at high noon. But, you know, whatever, you know. Fantasia, she didn't even know how to read it until like 3 years ago. For real? Oh my God. Did she read the paperwork? Let me stop. Shout out to Fantasia, but she got on my nerves too. Girl, a time. Listen. I want to say this. You have to understand this buffer system, the Freemasons, the Boule, and the Divine Nine was purposely put in place. These clear people and even these Black Europeans, when they came over here, they knew that they could not conquer this land alone. They had to get on board the people that were here. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem is we were already tribal or tribalists, so it was no problem for us to have beef with this tribe or that tribe. And what these clear people did was literally pit us against each other. They were messy. They started mess and got us to banging on each other. But we were banging for the Europeans, both Black and clear. Okay? Now, shout out to this brother, Steve Coakley. I adore Steve Coakley. Unfortunately, he's no longer here. I think he died in 2012. He was actually really good friends with what's his name? With the Muslim movement, and Farrakhan allegedly had him taken out like they did Malcolm, but y'all ain't ready for that. What's the Muslim, y'all? Y'all know how I am with these names. Dark-skinned dude. He was over there on Donahue talking about how he loved when Black people unalive clear people, because that America love his people, love their people when they do it too. What's his name, girl? He got into it. No, not Muhammad. He got into it. Him and Khalid. Yeah, it is Khalid Muhammad. Khalid Muhammad. There you go. Thank y'all. Y'all know, if y'all new to the channel, like the video. But listen, I'm really bad with names off the cuff. I be knowing who I be looking at it in my head, but somehow the name just escapes me. Khalid Muhammad. He and Khalid Muhammad were really good friends. I did a video, or maybe it was a live. So basically what happened with Khalid Muhammad, he was chastised for making statements. The same thing happened with not Muhammad, with Malcolm X. Remember when Malcolm X made that statement about Kennedy saying the chickens coming home to roost ain't never made me sad. That's when he got suspended from the Nation of Islam. He was trying to get back, remember? And then they didn't want to let him back. Well, it was the exact kind of same thing with Khalid Muhammad. He was like popular. People loved him. He was the one going out there saying the stuff that nobody else would say. Because let me say this, and I got to say this part, and I got to say it, and I don't care how nobody feel because it's the truth. And I'd rather die on the sword of the truth than sit up here and lie to y'all. Let me tell you something. The NOI it was already, in my opinion, a political organization, but it became extremely political, especially when y'all fave Minister Louis Farrakhan took over. It was already political when Elijah Muhammad had it. That's why he got mad with Malcolm X for talking about the chickens coming home to roost. But it went next level, in my opinion, once I hate my brain. It went full throttle. It went full throttle political once Louis Farrakhan took over. I be having to sometimes close my eyes. Yes, NOI is deeply rooted in masonry, and that's why we're gonna start and talk about all of it. And shout out to Steve Coakley. Steve Coakley was a brother that would call this stuff out on not like anytime. It was almost like he was the Boule's like worst enemy. He would literally call these people out all the time, and the people inside of the organization. So we're going to discuss that. Shout out to the people in the chat. If y'all are just joining, y'all go ahead on and like the video. I made my 40K, y'all. Shout out to me. Thank you, Needle Applebum, for becoming a member. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, she said you are so real, and one of my faves had to become a member. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So listen, we're going to get into the brother Steve Coakley. We're going to get into what he had to say about the Boule. And we're going to get into a whole bunch of other stuff. But we have to understand, when it comes down to this Freemasonry part, because that's one of the hubs, because a lot of stuff came out of Freemasonry. If y'all think about y'all pastors down at y'all church house, a lot of them use the color purple. And I'm not saying that that's directly connected, but a lot of them are Masons or Divine Nine members. 95% of them. That's another career field that they dominate. More than most of them are Masons or Divine Nine members, or probably both. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of them be Qs too. I'm just saying. We all know about the Qs, so whatever. But anyway, so we're going to get into that. And we have to start with Prince Hall. Now, Prince Hall, is the founder of the Black Masons, called the Freemasons. They're different from the Grand Lodge Masons because there was segregation and racism all over everything. The Grand Lodge Masons were one group, and when the Negroes wanted to come and be a Mason, they let them have their own group called the Prince Hall Freemasons. And we're going to get into Prince Hall and who he was. And let me say this too. Before we get into this, I done told y'all this before. Most of the people that they put in charge of us are either multiracial, but present as black, or foreigners. Look it up. Start looking at the people that's in charge. Start look the doggone the Supreme Court black woman, foreigner. Hell, look at Scamala, foreigner and D9. Boule, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like, all of these people are connected in that society. We already talked about the guy, Jonathan Adi. He said that Diddy was in charge of the Boule. He said he was a Boule member. He said it. He literally was like, Boule, he said, I'm not trying to be racist, but the Boule is like the Black Illuminati. So we got to be mindful of that. Thank you, April LeBlanc, for being a member for 5 months. Congratulations on the 40K. Let's keep it going. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Zari said, Voodoo saying foreigner with the hard R. I like that, foreigner with the hard R. I'm going to have to start using that hard R on some of these people, because they got foreigners who are right with us. But them hard R foreigners, I'm gonna have to start. Thank you for saying that. I'm gonna have to start using it because we got regular foreigners that are our friends and our, and then our enemies, the ones with the hard R's. I gotta start using it. I appreciate you. Good looking out. Now, before we get started, like I said, you guys, please like the video. Please like the video. I want to pull up something. I pulled up an article about the history of Prince Hall. Let me go get him. Is it this one? We're going to get into Prince Hall. Prince Hall wasn't even a Black American. And a lot of people are going to say, well, they called the first lodge the African Lodge. And it's the same thing with the AME Church. Just because they put African on there does not mean that we were African. Let me also say that. Let me also say you have to understand we were in heavy, as we still are, in the midst of heavy paper genocide. Heavy paper genocide. Think about it. If we was really from Africa, why your grandmother, and your great-great-grandma and all of them people telling y'all they was Choctaw, Cherokee? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. My sound going off and on? Can y'all hear me good? Y'all let me know if my sound is weird. Let me know. Let me make sure I'm straight over here before we get into this. Everybody's good? No, your sound is fine. They say no, yes. I don't know. All right, thank y'all. All right. Check your stuff, Boo Boo. I think you might have to you might either have a bad connection or you might need to go out and come back in. All right, let's get into this introductory to Prince Hall Freemasonry. Let's get into it because, like I said, these are the things that we have to discuss. And I also want to pull up a video. Shout out to UBTV. Oh my God, UBTV put up another America is Easier video. I was so excited last night, like a kid in a candy store. Do you hear me? Girl, I watched it, but I got to rewatch it because I was braiding my hair and looking around and thinking my mind was moving. I got to rewatch it. Shout out to UBTV on YouTube. That doggone dude is so fire. I be itching waiting for him to put up a video. But we're going to get into a video where he speaks about it, and we're going to get into Steve Coakley as well. So let's start. Esther said, George, put your glasses on so you can hear. Y'all is a mess. I'm not about to keep reading y'all comments. Thank you, Cheryl, for the super chat. Not on topic, but for Diddy's booking, it said race black in red ink. It said unlike most POC inmates, he is not labeled white. You educated us, boo. Wait, say it again. Not on topic, but Diddy's booking, it said race black. In red ink, it said unlike most POC inmates, he is not labeled. Oh, yeah. Thank you. No problem. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Of course they're gonna put his race as black on now. Of course. He has been demoted to nigga. But nah, I get you. Thank you so much. Let's get into girl, y'all is crazy. Let's get into this Prince Hall stuff, girl. So remember, you have Grand Lodge Freemasonry and you have Prince Hall Freemasonry, okay? Oh my God, TD, you sent another band. Thank you. Not a band, but another C note. Thanks for the valuable information and research, Vu. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh my God. I really appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. No, what they were saying off the Empress is, you remember how I told you guys white was more or less a status versus a color when you are categorized that in paperwork, meaning, like, for instance, the Mexicans, they fought to be labeled as white. It's a status thing, is what it is. So what she was saying was he wasn't labeled as white on his stuff. He was labeled as black. Because if you think about it like this, also the Puerto Rican princess, on her intake paperwork, they said she was white. And we all know she don't phenotypically look white. You see what I'm saying? Let's get into it, y'all, because I don't want to be too long. Let's get into it. I don't want to be too long-winded. Let's get into Prince Hall Freemasonry. Let me fix this so y'all can see it. You guys like the video if you haven't already. Please like the video. All right. This is from guides.loc.gov, okay? This is a verified source. None of these sources are verified, but let's get into it. Prince Hall Freemasonry is the oldest recognized and continuously active organization founded by African Americans. even though Prince Hall wasn't of American descent, or at least the United States. Let's start there first. Prince Hall Freemasonry has its beginning on March 6, 1775, when Prince Hall, circa 1748 to 1807, an abolitionist and civil rights activist, along with 14 other free black men, were initiated into Freemasonry. These men later organized African Lodge Number 1 on July 3rd, 1775. In 1784, they petitioned the Grand Lodge of England for a character. It was granted, and African Lodge Number 1 became African Lodge Number 459 of Boston, Massachusetts. This organization laid the foundation for African American citizenship, education, and for the improvement of the conditions of blacks. Cap. That last part is super cap. Man, when I don't know when the Masons do stuff for Negroes. I'm sorry. Yeah, they be feeding the people for Thanksgiving, because I did go to a lodge and help feed some elderly people for Thanksgiving one time, but they don't do nothing for Negroes. But it's just like the D9. The following guide contains selected items from the Library of Congress collections concerning Prince Hall and Prince Hall Freemasonry. One will find works written by or about individuals who are Prince Hall Masons, as well as official publications or organizations, records issued or created by Prince Hall Grand Lodges, and other organizations with whom Prince Hall Masons interacted, notably the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. I told y'all, everybody is combined. Everybody is connected. Now they talking about the NAACP. All these folk is connected. They connected behind the scenes. All of these folks is connected. Okay? Let me, hold on. All of these people is connected. These are the facts. Do not think that I'm just being like, oh, a voodoo, because we were about the D9, but it's all of them. All of them are connected. Hold on, let me, let's go here with it. Hell no, I don't see no damn. Let's go here with it. Get this off here. Prince Hall Masons. Y'all see the photo? Prince Hall Masons. Prince Hall Freemasonry is the oldest African-American Masonic organization. It is aimed to foster racial uplift, mutual aid, and social justice. Girl. Okay. Prince Hall was an artisan and abolitionist in Boston. Hall's birthplace and birth date are not precisely known, but he is believed to have been born in 1735. A successful leather merchant, Hall owned property in Boston and was therefore on the city's voting roll. He was an engaged citizen, advocating for the black community as a vocal supporter of the abolition of slavery. He died in 1807 and is buried in the Boston's historic Copp's Hills Cemetery. In 1775, after Hall and other free blacks tried unsuccessfully to join the city's all-white Masonic lodge, sounds like the Boule, they were initiated into Lodge 441, which was attached to a British Army regiment. So they were connected with the British Army. Listen, when the British retreated from Boston in 1776, Hall's group received a permit to assemble as African Lodge Number 1 in 1784. The Grand Lodge of England officially chartered the group as African Lodge Number 459. More than 4,500 lodges worldwide are descendants from this original organization, not known as the Worship Prince Hall Full Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. Let me tell y'all something too. I want to add this. They are getting their grants from England. These are supposed to be African Americans trying to be with the clear folks, and then they let them join a lodge, and then was like, okay, well, we'll give you your own lodge. Y'all be African American, be over here. Mind you, these are segregated lodges. None of these lodges are really like together like that. Now, I want to go here, and then we're gonna get into this video. Founded in 1784, Prince Hall Freemasonry is the oldest African American Masonic order. While Prince Hall Masons practice their secret rituals and mortal teachings of Freemasons worldwide, they also share with other Black fraternal organizations a commitment to racial uplift, mutual aid, and social justice. During slavery and segregation, Masonic lodges provided safe gathering places for the Black community. You know who else did that? Fannie Lou Hamer. Her husband was a Mason, and they would gather over there to figure out this voting stuff, but let's move on. Membership includes various community leaders, prominent businessmen, clergymen, and politicians who also served as role models for Black male identity and empowerment. Membership also provides essential networks for the artisans and business owners, and even grant protection. For instance, in 1829, when a protest by white Cincinnati workers against Black employment erupted in violence, Prince Hall Masons organized patrols for the community. Okay? Now let's get into these rites and rituals. Like other secret societies, Freemasonry is known for its elaborate system of codes, symbols, and rituals. You see how y'all be seeing how them people be doing this? For African American members, Masonic teachings that drew on the Bible reinforced the Christian values preached in Black churches. Other Masonic traditions celebrated the knowledge of ancient civilizations, including Egypt, offering a prideful connection to African cultural heritage. Okay? Okay. Oh, you know who else came out of here too? If I'm not mistaken, y'all in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the one who, yeah, he did. The one who started the Muslims and all of that. The clear man who said he was Black. Not Muhammad. Farad, that's his name, Farad. He came up out of there too. Girl, let me get to this doggone video. Let me go get UBTV up here. Y'all go subscribe to UB. This dude's so cold, bro. This dude's so cold. I should have had this queued up, y'all. I'm sorry. I was running late. I was definitely running late. So y'all like the video while I queue this up. You know what? Before I go here, let me queue up this video I got about the connection of Masons and the Boule. Let's pull that up while I'm pulling this other stuff up. Hold on one second. I did send it to myself, right? Nope, not that. Hold on, y'all. I have a video that I had from it was on Facebook, and I wanted to show y'all because it kind of goes over the connection between the Boule . What did I do? I thought I sent this to myself. Let me just pull up UBTV and then I'll go back to it. All right. I might have to resend it. Shout out to UBTV. We're gonna go to his playlist. Let me let y'all see this. We're gonna go to his playlist. This is his channel, y'all. Please go subscribe. This dude's so fire, bro. This dude's so fire. So I'm gonna go to his playlist of the Boule, and it was the
conduit by which
it should be this one, right? Yep, there it is. So let me go back a little bit. And I love that he puts a little comedy with his stuff. That's talking about Indians fighting each other. We already know about that. And that's something we need to talk about a little bit more later on. Okay. All right, let's go here with it. Y'all like the video?
And sold to New England. When they arrived in the Caribbean, were they considered Indians? When they arrived in those New England colonies, seemingly in a quest for brotherhood, Prince Hall and the other men sought to be respected on equal terms within Masonic society. But in that supposed quest for equality, by the creation of the Prince Hall Freemasons as a separate group, distinguishing themselves from their white counterparts, essentially made this objective nearly impossible. White Masons and Black Masons, separate but unequal institutions supposing to endorse the false premise of racial brotherhood in a colonial world where none existed. And yet, even today, for a supposedly ethical and morally grounded organization of God-fearing men, such as who the Freemasons claim to be, white Masons in the South, especially those who profess overwhelmingly to be Christian, have never recognized Black Masons as their Masonic brethren. Quote, NBC News. And this comes from the Associated Press originally, October 4th, 2006. So this article is crazy to say, almost 20 years old, 18 years old, 17 years old. Quote, the Masons, the storied fraternal order, whose members have included Mozart, George Washington, and John Wayne, has become entwined across the Deep South with the remnants of another tradition in these parts, strict segregation. Nationwide Masonic groups operate in a separate but supposedly equal system in which whites typically join one network of Masonic groups called lodges, and blacks typically join another, Prince Hall. But in the South, it goes further. White-controlled Grand Lodges in 12 southern states do not even officially recognize Black Masons as their brothers. The Masonic term is mutual recognition. And in some cases, Black lodges have taken similar stands. Masons have quietly debated race relations for years, and the issue is increasingly coming into public view. So I'm not quite sure if this statute between the white and Black Masons still stands everywhere, but this has obviously been a source of contention since the inception of Prince Hall Masonry, especially when it comes to the South.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but let me say something that I find very weird. You know, Black people, we special, and sometimes not in a good way. And let me tell you why. Because we were so, just like when I went over to Boule, we are so engulfed in trying to be up under them people. It's weird. But again, you have to understand the founders of these people, this is what they're saying is the reason why this is happening. These, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. I feel like the ancestors telling me I'm right. But these are organizations put here on purpose by the powers that be. It's a system, and it has to work flawlessly on all levels. You cannot have control at the top without those buffer systems in the middle. So they tell us, oh, y'all just want to go be like the clear people. We've never in history wanted to be like the clear people. What happens is they get some feds. Let's talk about it. They get some ops who they pose to us as doggone real friends. Really, whole time they frenemies. And what they do is they go amongst our people and they get our people to go along with the bull. That's what they do. And we eat it up every time. So when you see Divine Nine members today, them people who join in the D9, most of them, 90% of them don't know all of this. They don't know nothing about what the real history is about. They know what they tell them the history is about, but they don't know nothing about all of this and what it's really deeply rooted in. That's why so many of them coming out here and denouncing the D9. But what I'm saying is, it got so bad to where, just like Christianity, but y'all ain't ready for that conversation, just like Christianity, it's just like, you should do it. If you don't do it, like, you're lame. You're not a part of the in crowd. Like, really though. But it's rooted in negativity, and it's supposed to be to go against you, not for you. And it looks on the surface like it's for you, but the fact of the matter is it's never been for you. None of this stuff has ever been for Black American people, period. And I mean that in North America, the United States, in the Americas, none of this stuff was ever meant for you. All of it was meant to deter you and destroy you. So let's get back into it. I just wanted to add that little piece, but that just be blowing me. But I know that's what they tell us. His story, I guess, right?
Black lodges have taken similar stands. Masons have quietly debated race relations for years, and the issue is increasingly coming into public view. So I'm not quite sure if this statute between the white and black Masons still stands everywhere, but this has obviously been a source of contention since the inception of Prince Hall Masonry, especially when it comes to the South. We've up with Mason vicious. Continuing, in Alabama, some dissident whites have split from the lodge system, and Republican Governor Bob Riley's membership in an all-white lodge has drawn fire in his campaign for a second term. In North Carolina, white Masons recently voted down a bid to recognize members of the black group as fellow Masons.
Any connection?
I mean, does this surprise anyone? We on the Mason shit. Obviously, we've talked about Prince Hall Freemasonry, and we understand that it is really a second group. It is a segregated black Masonic lodge. So apparently, the charter from the Grand Lodge is what makes Prince Hall legit. But as we can see, some of these lodges don't recognize that charter. Or maybe they recognize the charter and say, we just don't fuck with you niggers. We don't.
Pause. Hey, this what I be trying to tell y'all. Look.
From the Grand Lodge is what makes.
Pay attention to these photos. There's something in these photos that we see all the time in 2024. Look at them hands. Him especially. Today on social media, people still doing this. Keith Lee, every review, he's sitting like this, ain't he? Because, I mean, where did Keith Lee come from? Has anybody ever thought about that? Has anybody ever asked that? This isn't even a comfortable position to be in with your hands. Where did Keith Lee come from? Neither here nor there. I'm just saying, that was the first thing I caught. Every time you turn around, and when he talking, what he doing? Like this, ain't he? When I showed y'all the Congressional Black Caucus in California, almost all of them photos, everybody was like this. I showed y'all this. I literally showed this to y'all. When I showed y'all the Black Caucus in California, who had denied the Negroes of reparations, the first thing I said when I went down them photos, I said, damn, everybody got... Pay attention to these people y'all be over here talking to, even on YouTube. Pay attention. Now, I'm not saying disregard everything that they say or do, but you have to understand who and what you're looking at. Nobody's walking around like this or sitting having conversations in their hands like this. It's not even a comfortable position to be in. And it's very rooted in cult-like rituals and all of that. And they've even said that they do rituals and all that. Hell, in the D9, they do rituals. What we talking about? Praying to a doggone deity with a deity Bible and all of that. But they don't want to tell y'all that.
Recognize the charter and say, we just don't fuck with you niggers. We don't fuck with you goons. Only the states of the old Confederacy minus Virginia and plus West Virginia don't have mutual recognition, said Paul Bessel, a Maryland Mason who wrote a book on the topic. There are, I'm sorry to say, some Masons who are racist, but the vast majority don't feel this way.
Get these niggers out of here. Scram, niggers. I don't know about this, y'all. I heard they gonna do some wild shit during initiation.
So reading this compelled me to do some research, and I did find a resolution of mutual recognition between the Grand Lodge of North Carolina and the Prince Hall Lodge of North Carolina. So at least in the state of North Carolina, there is mutual recognition. The document says, the Grand Lodge of ancient, free, and accepted Masons of North Carolina and the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of free and accepted Masons of North Carolina and its jurisdictions incorporated, being desirous to ensure a continuing harmonious relationship and to provide for the successful coexistence of both Grand Lodges and to promote Freemasonry in general among all peoples. And whereas the Grand Lodges believe that it is altogether right and proper and in the best interest of Masonry everywhere, and particularly in North Carolina, that these two Grand Lodges exercising Masonic jurisdiction in this state.
I'll leave the channel link or the link to this video. I'm going to copy it right now and pin it in the chat. For anybody who want to go support, please go support. This dude is so fire, bro. UBTV, he just put one out on doggone Mayan and Aztec cult. Man, that dude fire. I'm gonna let it play, but I'm about to pin the link to the video, and you can find the channel from there.
Mutually recognize each other while each retains its own autonomy and jurisdiction, hereafter as heretofore. They recognize each other, but there will be no intermingling of lodges or merger of lodges. And this resolution comes from the year 2008. Continuing, this is 2006. Grand Lodges and Prince Hall groups coexist with few problems and officially recognize each other in 38 states and the District of Columbia, with members free to mingle and attend each other's meetings. Frank Chandler, a leader of a Black Masonic group in Delaware, was happy to see mutual recognition granted in his state last month. The importance of it to me is that this is 2006. If we as Black folks and they as white folks can't live together, we're got real problems. I'm sure they meant to say we've got real problems, but it says we're got real problems.
Look at the photos behind this. I just don't understand that logic. Maybe because I'm from a place in New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans. When I grew up, it wasn't nothing but Vietnamese and Negroes and some whites. I ain't never been around. We ain't never been the type of people who run up under them clear people, man. We just ain't. Whatever, man. Let's move on.
All right. So we see that they're not spell checking on the Associated Press. All right. Just in case you think all their shit's tight. These niggas couldn't run a fucking spell check. Or maybe I'm reading this out of context where it got real problems. But Bessel said the separation in the Deep South is entrenched and remains in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and West Virginia. It's a lot of states. It also extends to Shriners, the men who wear the funny red hats and operate a network of 22 charity hospitals for children. Shriners draw all their members from Masonry, and many of their policies are based on Masonic rules, Bessel said. The Masonic movement, also known as Freemasonry, began in Enlightenment-era England and is known for its white aprons and architectural symbols. It came to the United States more than 250 years ago. Mainstream Masonry was controlled by whites.
He giving hidden hand tease. That man head covering it, but him right here, he's giving hidden hand tease. Girl.
So blacks began meeting at lodges of their own in the 1770s. The organization that resulted was later named for one of its founders, Prince Hall. So blacks began meeting in lodges of their own in the 1770s. Man, aren't you glad that I've spent over a year explaining exactly how Prince Hall came into fruition? Blacks started meeting in their lodges, really, in the 1770s.
That's a lie.
All right.
That's a lie. That's what he said.
Yeah, and even the propagandized story of Prince Hall and those Masons, how they came to be and got their charter from the Grand Lodge in England. There are elements to that story that are missing from the propagandized version. That's why I mentioned the British loyalist and how this was the revolutionary America in which they were trying to separate from England. So all these Masonic lodges were subservient to England at the inception of America. Think about that. The all-black lodges flourished alongside their white counterparts. White Masons in Washington state briefly considered admitting Prince Hall Masons in 1890, Bessel said, but the resulting uproar kept most such proposals on hold until 1989, when the Grand Lodge of Connecticut passed a resolution formally recognizing Black Masons. Since then, 37 other state organizations have granted mutual recognition, In Alabama, where critics say Grand Lodge members rejected a move to recognize Black Masons in 1999, a few white Masons have formed a group outside the old system. Oh, these are some rogue white Masons. Okay, they have formed a group outside of the old system.
So even all the way up to 1999, the Negro Masons were trying to get accepted into the Grand Lodge Masons. They wanted to be equal. And even up until 1999, them clear people in the Grand Lodge Masons was like, hell no. So they had a couple clears come on down and give them a little false sense of unity. UNITY. Mind you, it was started in 1774, he said, I believe. And all the way up to 1999, they were still trying to get in. Girl, you can't make this up.
Does that mean that the old system doesn't recognize them? And who's got the power, the old system or this new system supposedly formed by whites?
The Negroes smiling
The
so hard.
issue also has become political, with Democrats accusing Alabama's governor of racism for his membership in an all-white lodge. Riley said he did not know there were two separate Masonic groups and hadn't heard of mutual recognition until questioned recently by an Associated Press reporter. He didn't even know. They're Black Masons? Hold on. What? Oh, there's a Black Masonic group?
Child, we know that's cap. We know that's cap, and we knew it.
Cleveland Wilson said neither Black nor white groups have discussed mutual recognition. Extending Masonic brotherhood would be nice, he said, but we're fine without them. I'm of the attitude, since they haven't shown any interest, I'm not interested either, Wilson said, end quote. Associated Press via NBC. Masons in the South struggle with racial separation.
Those are some yappy niggers. All they do is yap. Yap, yap, yap. Now you make Masons, all they can do is go yapping about it. Oh, yapping. Look at them yap. Shut up, yappy niggers.
Hey, y'all saw who was in that frame? Who the Masons was? It was Jesse Jackson, Steve Harvey. Hold on, let me go get it. Look, Steve Harvey, Jesse Jackson. Look at the Lori Lightfoot girl. Now, what she done did? Ain't that her? Girl, this is a time, girl. You know this. Is that Morgan Freeman? Oh, he wrong for that. Oh, girl. With Prince Hall in the middle. Go ahead on.
Now you make Masons, all they can do is go yapping about it. Oh, yapping. Look at them yap. Shut up, yappy niggers.
Shut up, yappy niggers. Now, what Lori Lightfoot had to do with it? Lori said, now how I get in it? Poor Lori. I just never understood this.
A significant pattern shows that the first so-called Black Masons who were actually accepted into white Masonic lodges in America were assumed to have been white men. Although they had some portion of Negro blood, it wasn't detectable to the average white Mason's naked eye.
White passing.
For example, Paul Drayton, one of the most eminent names in Prince Hall Masonic history, the first Grand Master of New York. There are several lodges named after him.
Let me say this. I don't mean to cut his wisdom because he about to go in. Let me say this. The same situation happened in the Muslim movement, the Black Muslim movement. That dude, Master Farad, he was a clear man who was able to lie and say he was Black. Now, quite the opposite here. These are people with Negro blood, and normally they would be casted aside. But these people were white passing, as we say in Louisiana, New Orleans, Passon Blanc. They were white passing. So think about it. Why is this always the doggone? Why are these people so? Why they have all this stuff in common? I mean, it's rhetorical. We know why, because it's a system set in place. But I told y'all it be them octoroons, quadroons, them damn half and halves, and them foreigners. with the hard R. Thank you for reminding me.
For over 150 years, he has been revered among his brethren and credited with spreading Prince Hall Freemasonry by organizing lodge openings in the South. Paul was also the son of William Henry Drayton, a wealthy slave master, rice planter, and politician from Charleston who represented South Carolina after the Revolutionary War. He was also Chief Justice for the South Carolina Supreme Court. He also hated Indians. During his address to the Continental Congress, William Henry Drayton is quoted saying, "Cut up every Indian cornfield and burn every Indian town," he proclaimed, "so that their nation be extirpated and the lands become property of the public." End quote. Young Paul was born to a mother who is described in records as a mulatto woman, hence the black blood he is accounted to have. Being raised on the family's plantation and sent to white schools to be educated meant his life was well entrenched within elite white circles, and as a result, eventually made Mason in a white lodge before becoming the Grand Master in Prince Hall. No doubt this was the case for many other octoroons and quadroons who could slide under the radar of the brown paper bag test, similar to the cases of the first members in Sigma Pi Phi, aka the Boule.
There you go.
Most of these men had been passing for whites nearly their entire lives, and yet still found it somewhat advantageous to associate with an organization intended for blacks, essentially crossing back over for an organization considered second class in comparison to its white counterpart, whom they had been long associated with.
Now, let me ask y'all a question. You're a black person. Well, you have black blood, black DNA in you, but you are white passing, meaning the average person sees you and they think that you are a clear person. What would be the mindset of people to go into a black space when they have a much better time in a clear space? Think about it. It's segregation. It's all type of massacres and all this stuff happening to Negroes, all types of stuff. Yes, that's enough. See, that's the real answer. That's the real answer. We know that. I told y'all I forgot what video we was talking about. They would breed mulatto slaves just for that. They took them, once they realized they could make the mulatto babies and the mulattoes will follow behind them. Don't get me started. Once they realized they could get those mulattoes, right, and make them have the mindset of them, they were like, this is golden. We need to continue to do that. That's why these mulattoes, these octoroons, these quadroons, that means they got, octo means 8%, like 8 of black blood, quadroons is a fourth of black blood, and so on and so forth. But they realize this is the real answer, obviously, to be a spy and to also misguide and mislead the people. Because you got to understand, I need somebody in there who I could trust, but they gonna trust as well. So you got these Boule people and all these other people coming into these black spaces playing black, and you saying, well, what you cosplaying for? You got it good over there because they trying to F you up, duck, duck, goose. But they'll say, this is what they will say. They will say what the reason was because we are actually Black American or African American, and we want to be amongst our own kind. Hence, all the leaders of all these things were heavy, damn near white. NAACP had W.E.B. Du Bois. He looked damn near white passing. The NOI, well, not NOI, but the Black Muslim movement had Farah Muhammad, who they said was an actual white man. You got the Boule. All these people look like they could be clear. Don't let the black and white fool you. Hell, let's go even further. Frederick Douglass, but y'all ain't ready for that. Frederick Douglass, who was a slave, biracial, his words, not mine. But he ain't never had a hard day's work on the plantation, and he knew how to read and write. Yup, Thurgood Marshall is another one, T. Haynes. Thurgood Marshall is that's what I'm trying to say. Open your eyes. It's out there. Look, if it was a snake, it would have bit you because it would have bit me too. I didn't even think about that. until I started getting into this research. It's a lot of mulattoes, quadroons, octoroons, and foreigners with the hard R. You know what I mean? But they're going to say they came over to the Negro part because they wanted to do for the Negroes because they're Negroes, but that's not the case. They were sent there on purpose. Because again, where's all these people popping up from? And then you go do their research and realize, oh, this one went to school out in England. This one went to school out in, you know what I mean? Stop it. Stop it. Let's get back into this video.
What could the advantage have been by joining Black Masonry as opposed to White Masonry? And did joining Black Masonry exclude them from White Masonry? What could be the advantage? Presumably, could it be that being top seed among Negroes in their fraternity was better than being bottom seed among whites in their fraternity?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the reason for this sudden change of face among the fair-skinned mulatto class, it only supports the well-established history of people with undetectably Negro blood becoming the figureheads for the entire Negro community.
This is sad.
It also must be considered the stipulations under which one could become a Freemason, especially as it pertains to so-called blacks. A Freemason must be born free.
Mm-hmm.
This stipulation alone is enough to disqualify a significant portion of people who could even be considered. So the men who escaped slavery and or worked as artisans to purchase their freedom were excluded from Freemasonry. However, exceptions to this rule were Absalom Jones and Richard Allen, both men born into slavery, but also became Prince Hall Freemasons. Richard Allen became the steward to Prince Hall, apparently organizing meetings among free Negroes in Philadelphia. But Allen is better known for founding the African Methodist Episcopal
I just want
Church.
to add this piece in there. Hold on. Let me add this piece in here because I got to say this part. Let me let it ride. I got to say this part because, see, we got to learn. I told y'all identification, ID. It ain't on a card. It's in your eyes. Open your eyes. They're supposed to do more than just be hazel. Listen to me and listen to me good. Let me back him up just a little bit. None of these folk from Acorn. You know how I know? You want to know how I know? Look at that hairline. Look at that hairline. Matter of fact, let's bring it to the YouTube. Hold on. I want y'all to see this. Look at these hairlines. These ain't no Acorn people. Look at it. Come on now. Look. Come on now. What we talking about? But they are black looking. So us, duck geese, as we are, here we go. Oh, he's one of us. We're all the same. Oh, we're all from Africa. Oh my God, it's so great. But voodoo, you don't understand. He's melanated. That means he's from Africa because we all come from Africa. And the whole time, he ain't got nothing to do with Africa or you, girl. He ain't got nothing to do with Africa or you. These are foreigners posing as Negroes. And we all know how we go over here. I got my earrings in. Let's get into it.
He ain't even from Acorn.
You get it? Y'all better start opening y'all eyes. They're doing more cosplaying now than they ever did before, and it's bad. I need y'all to open them eyes. They're supposed to be more than just hazel now, okay? This ain't no nigga. And this one damn sure ain't no nigga. So whatever type of melanated they mix with, they ain't niggers. That's what I know.
For founding the African Methodist Episcopal Church. During this time, the church was the conduit by which a formerly enslaved so-called black man might gain social standing. It is a matter of fact that the great majority of the early leaders of the black church, whether that be Baptist or Methodist or any other Protestant denomination, were indeed Prince Hall Freemasons. Additionally, the church was the conduit by which Freemasonry spread amongst blacks. As we will soon learn in the histories of the Masons in the Carolinas and Georgia, the church was always the common denominator.
Hey, what's that cord right there? Ain't it the church? When they did the Tuskegee experiment, where was they meeting with them black men? The church. Civil rights movement, when we would just want to have a good cold turkey sandwich down with the clear people and rub shoulders with them. Where was they organizing at? The church? All of the bad things that happened to Negroes organized at where? The church. You lying, Voodoo? Do your history. Do your research. They were bombing churches. Remember? It was at the church. This has nothing to do with the Most High God. The church and the Most High God are separate entities. I know they done taught y'all that is intertwined, but that is a lie. Those are completely separate entities. That's why the people who attend the church can be as vile and filthy and funky as everybody else. I want to move forward on this. Y'all, I already pinned the link to the top of the chat. Y'all go check out this video and go give UBTV some support. This dude is amazing with his research, and we'll speak more about that over here. Now, let's get over here with it. Hold on, because this is very important. The tea is being spilled. This is the age of Aquarius. The information is here for you. You just got to go get it. Okay.
Day of the 1900s. The Bible says they put taskmasters, gatekeepers. If you ever did you see the movie 12 Years a Slave?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the movie 12 Years a Slave, where the white man was raping the black girl, and he was wanting to whoop her, but he gave the whip to the black man to whoop her.
Mm-hmm.
They always get the taskmaster. This was the house Negro, field Negro syndrome, where they always give some blacks a little more privilege, and he would keep the rest of them down. This is what the Boule is.
The Black Boule was founded by Henry McKee Minton and 5 friends. Eugene T.
Now look, we off the Masons, we on the Boule. But listen, the Masons and the Boule are parallel. They all have the same jobs. They literally all have the same jobs. So what he's saying about the Boule, you can apply that to the Freemasons. You can apply that to the Divine Nine. The Kingdom Hall, girl, don't remind me. I got PTSD from the Kingdom Hall, girl. My mom making us go every other day. I still got PTSD. But listen, I told y'all about that buffer system. That's what I call it. It's a buffer system. All of them have the same job. All of them. Even though he's talking about the Boule right here, that don't make the Freemasons no different. That don't make the D9 no different. And this is the gag. We all have family and friends who are part of these organizations. And they don't understand it to this level because they have the ones at the bottom believing, oh, they just conspiracy theorists talking, woo-de wham. It's not like that. So they are unsuspecting. That's why we have so many people, even to this day, going join the D9 because they thinking it's about family and brotherhood and this, that, and the third. They don't understand what they really are a part of. They don't really understand what they're signing up to be a part of. Let's get back into it. And then we're going to get to my brother Steve Coakley, Steve Coakley, ancestor.
Thompson, Robert J. Abel, Dr. Algernon B. Jackson, Dr. Edwin C. Howard, and Dr. Richard J. Ward. They met in the home of Minton in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on May 15, 1904, to form what's known as the Boule. The reason for the Boule was to recruit highly educated black individuals of a high status. To give you an idea of Minton's status, he was an African-American pharmacist and physician. He attended the academy at Howard University and Phillips Exeter Academy, a college preparatory institution in New Hampshire. He attended the University of...
They say he an African-American. That man is obviously at the very least biracial. Octoroon, but he ain't full nigger. But the paperwork in the literature is going to tell you African-American because they want you to associate yourself with him. Come on, man.
Pennsylvania law for a brief moment, and then later received a degree in pharmaceutical studies from Philadelphia College of Pharmacy.
Didn't Scammer go to Howard?
He worked at...
Don't she want to... Hey, my sorors and HBCUs, you helped me win in 2020, and you're going to help me win in 2024. And we think just because it's an HBCU, they niggas. That's crazy. We gotta wake up out that deep sleep. We in a coma. We gotta get up out of there.
Frederick Douglass Hospital as the first pharmacist. He operated the first black-owned drugstore up until 1902 in Philadelphia. He received an MD in 1906, being the first African-American to graduate Jefferson Medical College. 1907, Minton helped to form Mercy Hospital. 1920, Minton was appointed successor for the next 24 years of Mercy Hospital as superintendent. The Boule fashioned themselves after Yale's Skull and Bone.
Listen. So we just went over the Freemasons. Who did the Freemasons fashion themselves after? The Clear Masons, who are the Grand Lodge Masons. But they wanted to be with the Masons, and the Masons said, get from around here. So they allowed them, granted them, chartered them, and said, you can be the African American or the African Lodge Freemason, Prince Hall Freemasons. Now we on the Boule. We already talked about this on this channel. Here we go with the Boule. Now the Boule, they wanted to fashion themselves after who? The Skull and Bones. That's where your presidents come from. George Washington, all the clear presidents, all of them, John Kerry, all of them people is Skull and Bones. Hell, what's the one who Trump said he don't like him because he a POW and he like his warriors not to get caught. He ended up dying or whatever. All of them is in the same secret society. All of them. And this is who the Negroes, according to legend has it, John McCain. Thank you so much, Q-Cent. John McCain. This is who the Negroes said that they wanted to fashion themselves behind. Yeah, I said George Bush. All of them. Let's get into it. Now, it's the same shit, different toilets, same story, different players. Same script, different characters. Why do you think that is? Because there's a system in place. Let's get into it.
An undergraduate senior secret society.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on. Sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the red. Number 322. For both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code? I wish there were something secret I could manifest. 322, a secret number? There are all kinds of secrets, Tim.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths.
It's so many reasons why they got John Kennedy up out of there. Outside of him trying to bring the currency back to America and not in the Federal Reserve, because that's really probably was the main one. But listen to what John F. Kennedy is saying during a time where you don't say stuff like that. We got more freedom to say stuff like that. Well, let me take that back. But there's so many reasons why they wanted to get that clear boy up out of there. He had completely opposing views for the system in which he was hired in. And they couldn't do it. That's why allegedly that CIA agent who was riding in the front seat popped him in the head. But that's a whole nother story.
And to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
Now, the Boule's purpose was to service blacks during Great Depression, World War I and II, and the Civil Rights Movement. Joining the Boule gave certain perks to its members for their loyalty. The Boule fraternity quickly established chapters referred to as member Boules. By 1908, it had expanded to Chicago and Baltimore, and on August 31st of 1908, it established the fraternity as a national fraternity. But I guess to further examine this situation, we have to ask another question. And my next question would be, how were they fashioned after a Masonic secret society? Let's break down the Boule's roots in Freemasonry. Where did Minton get his Masonic roots? So let's jump back in time a bit and see what inspired the first black fraternal organization to even come about. We run into a Prince Hall.
Pay attention.
Prince Hall Freemasonry. This is a branch of North American Freemasonry founded by Prince Hall in the 18th century, consistent predominantly of Black Americans. Prior to the Revolutionary War, Prince and 14 other Black men petitioned to get into Boston St. John Lodge. They were declined. Masonic fraternities were attractive to some free Blacks, like Prince and his friends. Being rejected from colonial Freemasonry, Princeton XIV sought after Masonry Lodge number 441 of the Grand Lodge of Ireland Military Lodge, March 6, 1775. They were initiated in. Prince and the other free men began the African Lodge number 1, and Prince was named the Grand Master. When black men wanted to get in,
they love a good depiction, don't they? They love a good drawing, girl.
And it actually had to be a unanimous decision. This wasn't easy. If they got one no as a vote, then the applicant was rejected.
I'm fixing to commensurate and come up with a verdict up here.
What dude died after the interview? Talise Williams said that dude died after the interview. You talking about the one who doing this video? Oh my God, I hope not. Let's get back into it, though. Girl, who you talking about, girl? Let's get back into it. Where we at?
Yeah.
Albert Pike wrote a letter to his brother back in 1875 saying that he wasn't inclined in the matter and he only took obligations to white men, not Negroes. He also said that when he has to accept Negroes as brothers or leave Masonry, then he'll choose to leave it. So he was willing to walk away if blacks joined. So black Masons had limited power. They were only given authority to meet as a lodge, participate in Masonic processions on St. John's Day, and bury their dead with Masonic rites, but not enter Masonic degrees or.
How do you see something like this and say, as a black, as a Negro, I don't care if you're from any part of the Americas, how do you see something this white and be like, I want in? And this one in the military. That's an Air Force uniform. This one here is in the military. Now, I know in 2024, this would be forbidden. I don't know when this was taken, but this one here is a high-ranking military official. I just don't understand how you see this and be like, I want to do that. Or I won't be in that. I don't know. Maybe everybody's different, man. Let's move on.
The Duke of Cumberland issued them a chapter for an African Lodge number
Let's move forward.
To 459 under Prince, meaning covert or done in secret. Now, they were trying to prove their entitlement. Now, Prince Hall Freemasonry was the first historically black fraternal organization, which was separate from fraternal Greek organizations, which later sparked. But some examples of the Prince Hall would be first Alpha Kappa Nu at Indiana University in 1903, Gamma Phi at Wilberforce University in 1905, Pi Gamma Omicron at Ohio University in 1905. These only successfully established one college chapter each. Now, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity formed at Cornell University December 1906. But right around in the mix of all that, you had the Boule, which was the first Greek letter society, which popped up in 1904.
This is big.
So Prince Hall Freemasonry fathered the rest of the black fraternal organizations.
There you go.
So did they create their own personal elite recruiting center?
Absolutely.
Because to be in this elite Sigma Phi organization, you had to be asked in. You had to be invited in by a current member. And the group only consists of about 5,000. So you had Prince Hall Freemasonry, then you got the Boules, then you got the Black Greek letter organizations. So now it's time to look into the Black Greek letter organizations, or the BGLOs, to save myself some breath.
Here you go. And look, what you're about to see now is the advertising portion of it. It looks fun. Look at it. We all Negroes in the chat for the most part, but look at it. This looks lit. I remember when I first went to college, I was like, I'm a pledge. I didn't know what, but I was like, I'm a pledge. And then I realized, looking at these girls, I don't fit in with these hoes because I'm not no follower. Number one. And number two, girl, bye. But look, the within itself, it looks lit. You want to be a part of it naturally. This is the advertisement portion of this situation. This is the advertisement and the recruitment portion. Okay? Look. There you go. Shoulders. Look at shoulders. Go ahead on shoulders.
So let's just look at the roots of some of the traditions that some of our BGLOs practice today. When you look at the military fashion, it actually evolved from around the 1940s, where a lot of blacks were returning home from World War II, and they were joining these fraternal organizations. Thus, over time, it picked up its military-style drills.
And even to this day, the military, the military have its own section of Divine Nine organizations. I hope y'all know that. So the military people have its own, they are who the other people are, but they have like their own little section of Divine Nine organizations. Just so y'all know, in case y'all didn't know that.
What time is it? It'll be special time! What time is it? It'll be special time!
The heavy Greek
Them niggas look like the skirts. Them niggas look like the Hebrew Israelites, don't it?
influence could very well stem from Alexander conquering Rhodotus around 331 BC in Egypt. Rhodotus was its original name before he conquered it, and later named it Alexandria of Egypt on his 10-year Hellenic conquest to conquer Persia. This part of the time was known as the Hellenistic civilization, where Greek culture was forced upon non-Greeks. A very important event during Alex's conquest is where he learned alchemy and all Egyptians' ancient practices. Alex's successor, Ptolemy Soter, I could say that wrong, I'll place it on the screen if I did, a Macedonian general, created a library that held an estimate of 40,000 to 400,000 papyrus scrolls. It was known as the most famous library, and it fell victim to many fires, the last fire taking it out, making it famous, known as the loss of cultural knowledge. This library displayed Egypt's wealth, its research, and all the information it had gathered from around the world and was translated onto papyrus scrolls.
Girl, Egypt is down there in Tennessee, girl. Memphis, stand up. Y'all want to know where Egypt at? It's in Memphis. It's a long story. I ain't got time to get into it. I know they put it in Africa and put them the pyramids up there. Y'all was like, oh my God, Egypt, we have to travel abroad. Egypt is right there in Memphis, Tennessee. Shout out to MJG and 8 Ball and all of them. Shout out to them. But that's another story. We ain't got time for all of that. Let's move on.
They even attended book fairs from around the world and numerous libraries and gathered all these different books and original scrolls. It is unknown who was solely responsible for its fall, but it is known that Julius Caesar of Rome set at least one, if not all, the fires in 48 BC.
Here comes Brother Steve. Check him out.
What we're looking for here is, says the colors of the fraternity shall be blue and white. It says the official insignia of the fraternity shall be a pin bearing the figure of a Grecian sphinx and urn. I thought it was interesting that when Warren Christopher went to the Middle East, Brother Ashwa, the place he went was to the Sphinx. And I need you to teach us something about this, about why he may have went there. And in the story, it says his code name is Sphinx. This is the vice chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations. He's a part of that secret society that Cecil Rhodes set up. He's the vice chairman of it. That's why he chaired the Commission on Your Rebellion, because he's in charge of all Negroes. He's now Secretary of State, in charge of Negroes worldwide. Secretary of State Christopher walks from the Sphinx, which he called, quote, a reminder of the tremendous contribution Egypt has made to modern civilization. Now, them ain't the right guys, buddy. Boy, them are not the guys.
Let me pause you right here. Remember, I told y'all, and we're going to get back into the brother Steve because I want to get into another clip with him as well. But remember, I told you guys, I said, hey, y'all, all of this stuff is intertwined, celebrities and all of that. I want to show y'all something. Now, you saw the Boule symbol. Guess who got the tattoo? Look. Look. You can hardly see it here. I should probably go, but this is the lion. Let me see if I can pull up another one. I'm going to go back to the video. We're going to go back to the video. Listen. I'm going to go back to the video and I'm going to show you that symbol. And then we're going to go talk to Lebron, and we're going to look at his tattoo and why he has it. Remember, athletes are celebrities too. That's why it's called sports and what? Entertainment. Stand by. Let's go back to the video. I'm going to bring y'all back to the video. I'm going to find a better picture of Lebron with his Boule tat. You know what I'm saying? Because this is very important. Hold on. This is very important. Lebron gotta show y'all his tat. Le Boule. Girl, y'all is crazy in the chat. That girl said Le Boule. I can't. Let's go back to this video, and then I'm going to find another picture of Lebron in the show.
Secretary of State Christopher walks from the Sphinx, which he called, quote, a reminder of the tremendous contribution Egypt has made to modern civilization. Now, them ain't the right guys, buddy. Boy, them are not the guys. But he went there. Early on his first day of his just concluded Middle East trip, before the official talks with Egyptian leaders were to begin, Christopher made a walking tour of the nation's most famous landmark, the pyramids and the Sphinx, and about why he's there and what's there. So now we know that the logo is called the Grecian Sphinx. We also know that we found Brother Maurice. When we first found about the Grecian Sphinx, we actually were looking at the logo, and we felt that the logo was a griffin, because the griffin seemed to be similar to the concept of the Grecian Sphinx. And I thought that was a griffin that was there, and Brother Maurice looked up what the griffin meant in Webster's dictionary.
Let me go here with it.
And I thought that was a griffin.
All right, here is the symbol. You get it? Here's the symbol. Y'all see the symbol? Keep that symbol in your mind. That's the symbol. This one right here up in the corner. You see the head, the lady, or the arm putting the whatever into the little vase. And then you see the body of an animal with the wings. Here is the Boule symbol. Pay attention.
Griffin that was there, and Brother Maurice looked up what the griffin meant in Webster's dictionary. And you can see that it says something about the griffin. Right. Now it talks about the fabulous bird with the wings and 4 legs and the ears and all of that. But in the second definition of a griffin, origin unknown, it says a white person new to the East. What? Yeah. One recently come from the Occident. That means white. White man.
That man had it. He said, white man. Yes, sir. Let's go get Lebron. I found a better picture of the tattoo. Now, if there's no correlation, why does Lebron have this tattoo? Somebody help me out. Y'all can see this? Let me make it bigger so y'all can see Lebron tattoo. Y'all see Lebron tattoo? You know, tattoos, after a while, they fade away on niggas. You know what I'm saying? But y'all see Lebron tattoo? Why does Lebron have this tattoo smack dead on the front of his chest? That doesn't make sense, Voodoo. It doesn't. He's just a basketball player. Shut up and dribble type tees. Why would he have this on his chest? Well, I'm going to just give you what I believe it is. Let me say this part. Now, Libran is another one. Came out of nowhere. Yes, he was hot in high school, but ask yourself, why was he such a spotlighted or highlighted player even in high school? Libran is one of those people who didn't even go to college. That he went straight out of high school into the league. Now, Libran has also been a stat chaser. Me and my friend just had this argument back and forth the other day, and I said Libran is the creator of stat chasing. What is stat chasing? Meaning all they want to do is big up the numbers. It don't matter if they really the best player, because their thinking is this: we're going to get the people to say that I was the better player because my numbers are going to show that I was. But the fact of the matter is, this is the sole reason why there's a debate all the time about who was better, Jordan or Bron. Anybody who was around for Jordan knows that LeBron wouldn't stand a chance. But what do they go back to? The numbers. The numbers. Why is this important? Libran is one of those people, in my opinion, allegedly put in place. Remember, I told y'all just because they're athlete don't mean they not in on it. You the only one not in on it, duck goose. He got the tattoo because he is showing y'all what most of us won't understand or even recognize, that he is a part of that secret society called what? The Boule. And we know that the Boule say they for the black people, but they're not. They are the buffer system that keeps the clear people or the people up top. I don't know who they are. They keep them in charge and they keep us down under their boot. Does that make sense? So there's Libran with his tattoo. Don't think, oh no, he just went got the tattoo because it's cute. Girl, all the tattoos I done seen and all the tattoos I done got, I ain't never saying I want that one. Think about it. Now, I just wanted to add that little tidpiece in. We're going to go back to the video because this is very pertinent information. Put your thinking caps on, okay? This is not a conspiracy theory. That's what they want us to believe this is. This is real life.
That's deep. And then a griffinage, the state of being a white person recently come from the East. And then it says Griffinite, Griffin Park, Los Angeles. So the Griffin stands over you from the highest point, looking over all that you are. They call it Griffin Park, and its conclave is the Greek theater.
Now, let's take a look at branding. The origin of branding could be the ancient treatment of a slave without rights. According to Wiki, millions were branded during the transatlantic slave movement. Now, the definition on Google of brand is an identifying mark burned on livestock or especially former criminals or slaves with a branding iron. So let's take a look into the origin of the chant or the call.
I ain't gonna lie. I liked this part in the movie. They were saying sweat blood until you sweat blood. And then the other ones, the cute ones were saying G5. I probably was chanting, Lord, forgive me. I ain't know. It just was a fire scene in the movie. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Lord. I didn't know. Let's move on.
Goes all the way back to when blacks were enslaved in Americans. They actually used these calls to specify locations or express emotions through song, which were often in a call and response tradition. After slavery, the value of the call and response tradition had kind of changed. The northern blacks kind of frowned upon it and had a bit of distaste in their mouth.
Hey, this whole line is the nurses or the doctors. You see those stethoscopes? Did I not tell you they monopolize career fields and keep us working down at the plant or at the doggone local Walmart? I just told y'all that. We talked about Dr. Jackie and Simone and all of them. Listen, this whole line, and you see it all the time with the lawyers, they all be Greek. I get frustrated because I feel like it's been right there. It didn't just start being here. This stuff been right there. Look, peep these girls going around in a circle. All these new doctors or new nurses or whatever they are with the stethoscopes around them. So I'm going to go with doctor. All of them is AKAs. Peep it.
Doctor, won't you come and see? There has been an outbreak in the land of pink and green.
Let's take a look at the main showcase, the stepping. Let's look at the origin of stepping. This goes all the way back to something called gumboot dancing. Gumboot dancing came from the 19th century. It was a form of self-expression for isolation workers who carried the migrant labor law system and oppressive past laws. It was considered a means of survival. Blacks worked in gold mines of South Africa for long, strenuous hours. It was harsh and horrible conditions, and there was no talking allowed. Now, the mines would constantly flood out, and their bosses, the Caucasian workers in higher positions known as foremen, did not want to pay to fix this problem, as it would cut into the profit. The poor drainage resulted in hours of standing and working in wet condition, which would leave workers with ulcers and skin irritations. Now, this was slowing down production, so the foreman issued rubber boots, heavy black Wellington boots. They also issued jeans or overall suspenders and bandanas for the sweat. Now, above the mines, workers lived in poor and crowded living conditions. They were forced to live in groups, grouped by tribe and ethnic groups, and as a result of this harsh condition, workers adapted traditional dances and rhythms.
I just have a question, and I could be being petty, but hold on.
In poor and crowded living conditions, they were forced to live in groups, grouped by tribe and ethnic groups.
What my brother got on here? Go ahead, Fat. And he posing. I don't know, y'all. Hey, I love us for real, like Monique. Let's move on. I know I'm gonna leave him alone, probably. I'm just saying I couldn't help. I didn't even see nobody else because I saw him. You know what I'm saying? So, let's move on. I ain't got no problem.
Groups. And as a result of this harsh condition, workers adapted traditional dances and rhythms with all that they had. Their feet and their bodies, or the gumboots and bodies, which is what we know today as stepping. The songs were sung with phonetic movements which dealt with working class life, family, love, drinking, low wages, harsh bosses, and this actually led to enlightened employers to capitalize or commercialize this dance. They gathered the best dancers and used them to entertain their visitors, creating a new market which cost them nothing.
Hey, I want to add this too. Y'all know how military people, y'all ever seen the army people running and they be running and singing songs, doing the chants? What do you call them? The cadres? And they be like, I am an army, mighty, mighty army, mighty. That's all from Black American culture too. I just want y'all to know that. Y'all know them clears don't know how to have no rhythm and do all of that. All of that comes from Black American culture finding outlets for being in horrible positions. Listen, y'all know our art is always created out of horrible conditions. So all of that's combined.
So we just got a little bit of the history of some of these Black fraternal organizations. And our question is, what would be the purpose for the Boule or the Black Boule in today's world?
So Steve Coakley, who discovered the Boule by accident, which means a French word, which means advisor to the king. And this certain secret group of Black people who were advising certain things that were happening in the black community?
When black people like me talked to the slaves, they didn't kill him. They sent some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The NAACP and Urban League have been maneuvered into criticizing us against their own will. Usually, the divide and conquer tactics have always been used by the oppressor to keep the oppressed oppressed. The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King, so that Reverend Martin...
You better talk! We already talked about Mike over here. Y'all know how I feel about Mike. Talk your shiz, not eat, elder, ancestor. What's going on? We did a whole live on that. What happened, ancestor? What you say?
Usually, the divide and conquer tactics have always been used by the oppressor to keep the oppressed oppressed. The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King, so that Reverend Martin Luther King can continue to teach the Negroes to be defenseless. That's what you mean by nonviolent. Be defenseless. Be defenseless in the face of one of the most cruel beasts.
Mike was a part of Alpha Phi Alpha. Do with that information as you please. Mike, get me up here. Oh, I'm already up here. Mike was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Before he changed his name, or his name was changed to Martin Luther King, he was Michael, okay? That's why we call him Mike over here. Now, when Malcolm X said that he is paid by the white man, by the clear man, to keep Negroes what he said, to keep Negroes docile and not fight, I showed y'all the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. So the SCLC was paid all in total $250,000 of them things for a group of 6 that they split. And their job was to go around the South and make sure Negroes don't rebel. Do you get it? We even went over it when they were talking about voters' rights in Mississippi. Them people was trying to go up there and protest and act a fool, and they was ready to die behind it. And who showed up? The NAACP, Medgar Evans's brother. Their whole job was to keep you stupid. And guess what it is still to this day? To keep you stupid. See, you see them marching and stomping and woo-de-woo, hurt. And you're like, oh, it's lit. No. That don't go like that. See, you jumping in, or you getting jumped in, because that's what it is. You getting jumped in, so because you want to be a part of something and it looks lit. You don't even know what you're a part of, but you should know when they tell you to kneel down and get on that Bible. Not the holy one, the one of whatever deity you praying to as you give your oath and allegedly your blood and all of that. Why you think even if a person, most of them people denounce them doggone things, they don't tell you about what really goes on behind the scenes. You got something now coming out, but for the most part, my brother denounced the Q Dogs. And even to this day, if I ask him, man, so what was going on? He not going to tell me. To this day. And he denounced them, but we in 2024. My little brother denounced the Qs in like 2013, 14. And right now, if I ask him, what was going on with the Qs, bro? Like what y'all used to do behind the scenes? Well, I ain't messing. I ain't gonna. I hope y'all seeing what I'm saying now. Now, I want to go to Steve Coakley because that's why we really here. And I ain't going to hold y'all too long, but I do want to get to Steve Coakley because this is the reason why we're here. And this brother, this elder, this ancestor I found him on a whim. Nobody sent him to me. I just happened to find him. And I was so mad. I didn't know nothing about him. But this is why I say the school system is trash and need to be abolished. What's his name? When Donald Trump said abolish the school system and the Department of Education, I said have at it. Because you know what I knew? What I knew is this thing is not set up for our success. They lying to us about every single thing. Hell, even math. They lying to us about simple stuff as math. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. They lying to us about every single thing, okay? let me go back just a tad. All right, we got the history. Now, this brother, Steve Coakley, he's going to be the Boule's worst nightmare because he's going to be the person who come out and be like, hey, bro, these niggas, they ain't who you think y'all is. You get it? And he going to talk about Mike too. Shout out. Rest in peace to the brother, Steve Coakley. Let's get into it. Hold on.
Black complicity in this centralization of worldwide power, the New World Order. It's on the dollar bill, pyramid by white men who never built one, never saw one, but they emulated this symbol. And now comes a series of societies, and now comes forth this black one in 1904. As we began to read deeper, it had another analogy in the story to Skull and Bones. It wasn't until we got the history book that the analogy that looked happenstantial in the story in the LA Times was actually deeper in the actual history book, where they drew attention to Skull and Bones. It denoted that W.E.B. Du Bois was a member, and it began to describe people, influential people in the present day society, and historically, our university, historically black college presidents are primarily coming out of this advisors to the king. And that word, that Boule word, can be looked up in a encyclopedia. Well, now people don't use them, they use internet. And that's a dangerous thing, a dangerous dependency. But Boule, B-O...
Hey, you heard that? He said you can look up the word in the encyclopedia. We talked about this morning. I said Google be lying. Did I not tell y'all? He said now people use the internet, but that is a dangerous thing. He literally said now people use the internet, but that is a dangerous thing because now you're at the behest of whatever they feel like putting out the day you search it. At least when you put it in a book, it's in that book and it never leaves the book. Now you go on Google and search something today, tomorrow it's going to be something completely different.
ULE, the Greek version. There's a French version that's a coming together, a conclave, the AKA called their convention, the Boule. But the Greek word is what we're looking for, the advisors to the king. The lower house of the Greek parliament is called Boule. And if you know the American congressional system, Senate, 6 years, more power, authority, only 100, 2 per state. Congress, 435, have to run every 2 years. Your lower house has less power and authority. So it appears as if in finding the Boule, that within it was a subordination to something else. And in its history book, it drew attention. Here's a logo. And this is their logo is a Grecian sphinx. It's an animal. And this Grecian sphinx is similar to a griffin or a gargoyle. Kind of ironically, the Boule had their convention in Los Angeles in 1941. And where else? Griffin Park. And this logo, this symbol is a guardian animal. This would be similar to a Rottweiler or a dog or a German Shepherd. They tend to protect something higher than itself.
Let me ask you a question. I went to Howard University, for instance, and a number of African so-called Greek societies, fraternities, as well as in our community, there's a number of secret, semi-secret organizations. How is the Boule different than the numerous fraternities and groups in our community? What is the relationship to the ruling class?
Father, son.
There you go.
The nine make up the axis of the Black Greek dynasty. There are 4 male societies, 4 female societies, and the Boule make the 9th one. They're the first, 1904 series, the Alphas. I'm not versed in the exact order, but I have all.
I don't know the order neither, but Martin Luther King was an Alpha Phi Alpha. That's the very first fraternity of all of the fraternities / sororities. I've gone over the order. It's not important here. But when he asked, what is the relationship between the Divine Nine and the Boule? What did Steve Coakley say? Father and son. It literally is father and son, senior and junior. That's all it is. So the Divine Nine, although we watching the advertising, and all of that, we're not realizing we are tying our souls, our blood, and our souls to an entity that is connected to another entity that has never been in place to do anything good for the people. I've said it in this chat. How many of y'all have seen the Divine Nine do positive things for the community or do stuff for the Black community, even though that's their mission statement? I don't see them Negroes. Every time I see them, they stomp in the yard. And these are your upper middle class to elite, for the most part, upper middle class to elite blacks. The difference is none. One is the father, the Boule. The son is the divine 9. Let me run it back just a bit because Steve Coakley gonna be spitting some fire. He's spitting like Dylon, spitting hot fire. I need y'all to hear this.
Male societies, 4 female societies, and the Boule make the 9th one. They're the first, 1904 series, the Alphas, the 9 make up the Act or German Shepherd.
I went to Howard University, for instance, and a number of African so-called Greek societies, fraternities, as well as in our community, there's a number of secret, semi-secret organizations. How is the Boule different than the numerous fraternities and groups in our community? What is the relationship to the ruling class?
Father, son. The 9 make up the axis of the Black Greek dynasty. There are 4 male societies, 4 female societies, and the Boule make the 9th one. They're the first, 1904 series, the Alphas. I'm not versed in the exact order, but I have all of their history books, and each of them draw attention to things where they got their ritual from. The Deltas draw attention to Freemasonry, said our ritual came from Mary Church Terrell, whose husband, Robert Terrell, was head of the Masonic Lodge in Washington, D.C. Mary Church Terrell, Mary Church, is the daughter of the first Black millionaire in America, Robert Church of Memphis, Tennessee. Huge mausoleum to him there. Those societies, those 4 male.
See that connection? The Deltas, listen, the Deltas get their stuff from Mary Church, who's married to a Freemason, whose father was a Black millionaire, probably intertwined in that as well. Mike, Martin Luther King daddy was intertwined in Freemasonry. It's all tied up, all of this. And we haven't even gotten to the celebrity piece of it. All of this shit is under one umbrella. It just looked different.
Those 4 female, and the Boule tend to make up a aristocracy. We talked in the park about the 10%, not in the sense of us in exclusivity, but them in the terms of deputizing 10% of the population to assure that the 90% never catch on. And it's very important to know that if you look to Alpha Phi Alpha website, there's alphas, kappas, Qs, and Phi Beta Sigma. There's Zeta Phi Beta, Delta Sigma Theta, AKA, and Delta, I'm missing somebody, Sigma Gamma Rho. If you look to, say, the Alpha website, they brag about being 95% of all Black lawyers. Now, if the Alphas are 95% of the Black lawyers, what does that leave the Kappas, the Qs? Okay, now we're in the 90s. They claim to be 65% of the Black accountants, the lawyers, the doctors, dominating. And it may be that our professions are dominated by people in the Greek societies. At Howard, there was a student that I tried to help get a doctorate in engineering, very exclusive about giving them out. If you get one, you're set for life. Morgan State, Howard are very exclusive. Took big money from governments to make engineers, but the brothers weren't coming out. And when we got deeply involved, we found how close-knit, how selective the professional process is. So he ended up at the patent office. He was a Kappa. He said, we have 15 Blacks, 1 female, 14 brothers, and all 14 of us are Kappas. Only Kappas going to get in here. And there are jobs all over where we think we're applying for something fair and open. But I would suggest that the ruling class recognized this was a very significant period, Didon, when they decided that they would give a college degree to a person of African ancestry in America who after Reconstruction should have been pretty pissed off. And so they were very weak about it to Africans in America. Only 2.
What did I tell y'all about them dominating them career fields? I gave y'all an example earlier. I can't run up in there saying he couldn't even get a brother a damn PhD and get him into a job because he wasn't a Kappa. He wasn't in the doggone. They're gatekeepers. Thank you, Nerds World Media. That is their job. That's their real job. Gatekeeping and keeping a foot on your neck. But they stomp the yard and we get all, myself included, and we get all excited and we're like, oh my God, oh my God. And then the people at the bottom of that pyramid, they know this part. They do know that they have a way in through their fraternity or sorority. However, they don't know how deep that goes and what they actually are signing up to. Yes, T. Haynes, the talented 10th. That's why, remember, he said 10% make them successful to keep, in order for them to keep the 90% down. That is the talented 10th. He literally just described what I described to you. That is why most of your nurses and doctors are AKAs. Most of your lawyers might be Kappas. You see what I'm saying? But they're supposed to be for the community. I bet. But they for the community, sure.
1,000.
And let me say this. I remember when they gave Boosie hell for doggone putting that shirt on from one of them fraternities, and they gave Boosie hell, and all they do is stomp the y'all to wipe me down. I said, Boosie a better nigga than me, because I wouldn't have folded to them Kappas or whoever that was. Y'all can kiss the blackest part of my ass. If y'all want to tell me I can't wear the shirt, then nigga, don't you stomp to none of my songs. Girl.
So there was this thing they went through, a born man versus the made man. The born man, the king and the queens of Europe, had to deputize people to colonize the lands, the Columbuses and the Cecil Rhodeses who went to Africa. They weren't the aristocracy, but they fought to be gladiators and colonists and explorers. The Lewis and Clark, who were Masons, these men used the societies to advance the wishes of the ruling class, and they set up a system, a circle within a circle, within another circle. Each circle protected the circle within it. So when you look to that Boule logo, you see there's an urn. There's an animal with the wing of the bird, the tail of a lion, and it's got an urn, and it's got its paw over the urn. And it says in the history book number 2 by Hobart Jarrett that in the urn are the names of the people who are chosen to lead the state, which suggests that part of the society function is not to make known who the people of power and authority are. And one of their most serious indictments to this society is what they were used to do against Marcus Garvey.
Stand by. Now, he gonna get in the meatball. And I think had he been alive today, his information would evolve and he would not be saying the things he's about to say about meatball. But stand by on that. I want to show you guys something. Let's go back. We're going to go back to him describe this doggone symbol and what it is for and everything in it. But while he describes it, what I want to do is show you Libran. You feel what I'm saying? I want to get Libran in his tattoo up here so y'all can see it the way he described it. Now, Libran is a basketball player. He has no dog in this fight, allegedly. Okay? Let's get into him describing this doggone symbol. Libran got it sprawled across the middle of his chest.
A circle within another circle, each circle protected the circle within it. So when you look to that Boule logo, you see there's an urn. There's an animal with the wing of the bird, the tail of a lion, and it's got an urn, and it's got its paw over the urn. And it says in the history book number 2 by Hobart Jarrett that in the urn are the names of the people who are chosen to lead the state.
In the urn are the names of the people who are chosen to lead the state. Again. LeBron was a great basketball player. They had great basketball players came up with LeBron, but for some odd reason, that light followed LeBron like crazy. Could it be that LeBron was chosen? Has anybody ever looked into LeBron's family, his ancestry, his lineage? Could it be that LeBron was already made? Remember, there's a difference between a born man and a made man. Could it be that LeBron was a made man? You know what I mean? I could be wrong. Conspiracy theories here. You know what I mean?
Which suggests that part of the society function is not to make known who the people of power and authority are. And one of their most serious indictments to this society is what they were used to do against Marcus Garvey.
Could you explain that, please?
Marcus Garvey, who began to surge for action Africa, the Negro is breaking free, doesn't have a good reason to get with the white American establishment.
You're right. You're right.
They don't have a good reason.
They're not getting paid.
They just built the country, got set free, didn't get the 40 acres and the mule,
Right.
got reconstructed when they began to move into the southern houses and the Senate. They got reconstructed and knocked back. So there's disarray in our community. And this is before the industrial cities of Chicago and others began to have steel and what do you call it? The stock markets. These are cattle, not bonds, where people began to work in the South, fled to the North to work in those factories. And Robert Abbott, who was a Boule man from Chicago.
Robert Abbott was an ain't shit nigga like Meatball. Let me say what I got to say. I'm sorry, I tried to be quiet. Meatball wasn't shit. He was a Jamaican coming up to America to tell Negroes that they need to go back to Africa, even though he ain't never been himself. And Robert Abbott was the sole person of the Chicago Tribune. I did a video on him. Nevertheless, he was the newspaper that got all them folks from the South to migrate to Chicago, telling them people that it's a much better place here, ain't no racism, come on up. But the bottom line was he needed Negroes to come up to the doggone North, or to Chicago. We call it the North, anything in the South. But come up to the Midwest to Chicago so that they can get these Negroes to work in these damn steel mills and these factories. Can we talk? And I said it. I said, who was this Negro? He was the only millionaire, one of the very few millionaires around this time who come from the ashes as a doggone big time newspaper man. Where did he come from? I'll tell you, probably the same place this nigga come from. You get it? Listen, Keith Lee, another one. Where do these niggas come from? Who are these niggas? Y'all gotta start asking this. Who are these niggas? Yo, who is these niggas? Like, where these niggas come from? I'm talking about one day you wake up and these niggas be right there. You be like, damn. And you don't even know why you think the nigga fire. Oh, because the media said they're made men. Meatball wasn't worth a dime. Now, Steve Coakley was a Pan-Africanist. So at the time, and I first of all, peace to the elder. I never say nothing negative about Steve Coakley. Steve Coakley was one of the real ones. You feel me? But Steve Coakley at the time, had he been around or stayed around a little bit longer, I'm pretty sure he would have updated that information because Meatball wasn't worth a dime. Negroes in America did not like Meatball. And as a matter of fact, Negroes in America ran that nigga up out of America. You got to go. So we didn't mess with Meatball. However, at least he got it right with Robert Abbott Stack, or whatever his name is. He wasn't worth two nickels rubbed together. I got the whole video on my channel, on this channel right here. Y'all go scroll down my videos. It ain't too far down. You're going to see it. Robert Stack Abbott wasn't worth two nickels rubbed together on concrete. Do you hear me? I'm not making this shit up. This is real life tea I'm giving y'all. But at least he clocked that tea back then. Look.
Defender, who it was a period when all the black editors were brought into Washington and told that they would have cracked down on Marcus Garvey, and their newspapers were not to be used. The Pittsburgh Courier, Chicago Defender, the Afro-American in Baltimore and Washington. All of these are Boule families, the advisors to the king, this group. So when Marcus Garvey came, whites began to think that maybe assimilation is better. Maybe we can escalate. Let's not let these.
Marcus Garvey is, the Prince of Pancoochie. The reason he rides Marcus Garvey's little peedy whacker so hard is because he is a Marcus Garvey. If you ask me, a foreigner coming to America trying to usher in the Negroes. We got our own leaders, fat. Take your ass back to Cuba and usher in them niggas. We don't need you over here ushering in nothing on us. They barely got Louis Farrakhan in. We don't need no foreigners ushering the Negroes. We got a lot of leaders in our community. We don't need the foreigners with a hard aura ushering in the Negroes. So that's why the Prince of Pancoochie loves naming what the school is, the Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, all of the Negroes who basically screwed us over. That's the name of the school. We've already talked about Frederick Douglass. Both of them Negroes screwed black people over. Done took our people down there to Sierra Leone and all of that, thinking they from Africa. Girl, most of them folks ain't even making it, and the ones who did turn into slaves.
Go. Maybe they don't seem too pissed off about all of this. Maybe they'll forgive these things we did to their ancestors, and maybe we can trick them, have a little, want some more. So as Garvey began to move they began to see that a Harlem Renaissance could have been necessary, that they could then attract Africans in America into literature and science and the arts and poetry. And when he said back to Africa, he's trying to get to Liberia. So R.R. Moulton, who was a big Boule man from Tuskegee University.
Before we get into R.R. Moulton, the problem with Marcus Garvey, listen, Marcus Garvey was a Fed too. He was an op and he was a Fed. The only problem with Marcus Garvey is Marcus Garvey was still pushing that back to Africa movement when America needed Negroes to work in their factories. They needed them Negroes up there with the Harlem. They needed them here. Nigga, stand down is what America was feeling like with Marcus Garvey. So that's why they backdoored him, because he was going to potentially mess up their money. They didn't build all these factories, all these Ford, all these car companies, all these. We need workers. And if he keep hollering, go back to Africa, a lot of them niggas might go, even though we wouldn't have went. But they didn't notice at the time. So the reason they tried to backdoor Marcus Garvey was because, like, nigga, you fucking up the church's money. What you doing? We need them here. Don't come over here with that back to Africa ugly ass shit. Go back to that's why they were backdooring Marcus Garvey. Now, peace to the elder. I'm sorry, to the ancestor, Steve Coakley. Like I said, if he had stuck around longer, I'm pretty sure he would have updated that information. But again, he was a Pan-Africanist, so it makes sense. Hell, Malcolm X was a Pan-Africanist. His father was a Pan-Africanist. Most of our elders and ancestors during that time were Pan-Africanists, and they passed it on to their children. We are the first generation of people who are breaking away from Pan-Africanism. Let me say it again in my Dr. Umar voice. I don't want that to go over nobody's head. Gen X, is it Gen X? Who before the millennials? The ones before the millennials and the millennials are the first generation of Black American people, listen, who have completely disbanded, detached, and delineated from Pan-Africanism. Everybody before us, even to this day, that's why if you talk to your grandmother or somebody like that, she on that Pan-African, they were indoctrinated heavily under that. It's Gen X. Thank you, Just Goddess. Thank you, Diva. Thank you, Ree. Yeah. We the first ones coming out saying we not doing that. We the first ones coming out saying, nah, we not rolling with that. We not, no. So with that being said, the reason that I give my ancestors a pass is because they didn't know. They didn't download. That information wasn't downloaded to them yet at that point. So that's why they were backdooring Meatball, because Meatball was messing up the church money. But again, he's a Pan-Africanist, just like Malcolm X, just like all these other folks. His daddy was a Garveyite. Malcolm X's father was a Garveyite, because they believed that was the answer during the time. Charge it to the game. I ain't gonna never charge it to their heart. I'm gonna just charge it to the game. Even the print. No, I'm gonna charge it to the heart of the prince of paying coochie. But y'all get it.
Who replaced Booker T. Washington. R.R. Moulton became a spy for the U.S. government to coordinate the program against Marcus Garvey in America. We have declassified documents that came out in 1993. The Memphis Commercial Appeal did the story about Martin King, Kwame Ture. A lot of things came out about spying. Well, in that, which did not make the public press, when we actually filed for the documents, there was R.R. Moulton telling Von Demon at Military Intelligence, don't tell anyone what I'm going to tell you about what Marcus Garvey said last night in Harlem, and the letters marked confidential. And of course, eventually, R.R. Moulton, who went to Liberia, was given $5 million to form a committee to keep Marcus Garvey out of Liberia. He never made it. He wanted to get there bad. They put $5 million in 1919, man. This is 50 million, 100 million today. Inconceivable. And they rewarded R.R. Moulton for trying to undermine Marcus Garvey. He got the first, this is deep, he got the first Black veterans hospital in the United States.
That government ain't no hoe. They hired Marcus Garvey as a Fed, allegedly. Not allegedly, for real though. They hired Marcus Garvey as a Fed to get niggas to go to Africa. And then when they needed it to benefit them, and he still was hollering that back to Africa shit, they went back and hired R.R. Moulton to stop this nigga, to basically put an end to the shit they already hired him to do. Same thing happened with Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael, and who? Mike, Martin Luther King. They hired Mike, and they say, Mike, I need you to keep these niggas civil. Go tell them to sing and hold hands and sing "We Shall Overcome." And then here come Kwame Ture, or Stokely Carmichael, as he was known back at the time, who's also a foreigner from the Trinidad. Can we talk? Because I be saying stuff, and I just want y'all to know that this is all connected. Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael, came in under SNCC. Was it SNCC? Yeah, SNCC. Came in to undermine the movement that the government already hired Mike, aka Martin Luther King, to do. You hush these niggas up, and then they say, we need them riled up. Hey, Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, whatever your real name is, you come over here and wait till Mike go out of town and get them churn and say, Black Power. And it worked like a charm. That government ain't no hoe, bruh. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. They will hire somebody to mess with the person they hired first.
Tuskegee. And then what did they give him for reward? Syphilis. You see the reward? See, he got something.
No back.
But what they got was bad, what they gave him,
So let me ask you, so in essence, what you're saying is that the Boule represents the buffer class, the petit bourgeois, the comprador buffer class that manages Africa's workers, peasants, students, and middle class in many ways, and are paid well for that. And they receive their direct orders from the European capitalist class.
Yes, if you would look to today, where Boule members like Vernon Jordan, who is managing director of Goldman Sachs, he took Bill Clinton to his first Bilderberger meeting in 1971. The black man took the white man from Arkansas to the big international meeting. Vernon Jordan, former head of the Urban League, who groomed Ron Brown, who then went on to become Secretary of Commerce, killed in a plane crash, murdered, because Boule are considered domestic. Martin King was Boule. Look at the relationship between Martin and Kwame over going against the war. You don't hear anybody in the African-centered community primarily against the war. They're basically accepting it or looking for what they try to get when whites are passing out things like, a grant here, this or that. They don't appear to be focused on that money that's being wasted, those billions.
Yes, you'll get a better position. Y'all remember that lady in Georgia who got all the way up to the Senate? Who said she was a Delta? Wait, I gotta address this. Wait, this is a true story. We talked about it on the Morning Joes. What we talking about? Listen, I'm trying to help y'all. Am. Listen to me and listen to me good. Yes, if you go down there and tell them people you crossed in spring, whatever, yes, you can get in better position. They had this lady in Georgia, got all the way up to the state senator girl. I'm not playing. This is a true story. And that lady had told them people she was a veteran, she was a Delta, and she had a PhD. When it came out, she said, I'm not a veteran. I said my daddy was a veteran. And they said, well, you said you was a Delta. She said, I didn't say I was a Delta. I had the outfit. Yes, girl. And that lady had been in power or been in position for 30 years. Yes, you can. Like Obama said, yes, we can. Yes, you can. Go down there, screw it. Go down there and put you a Delta. You crossed in spring. Well, I don't know how old you is, but go back enough to say you was in college. Spring of that year, go up under a small school though. Don't pick no big school like Howard because they're gonna be able to call you out. Go under like Alcorn State. You know what I'm saying? One of them small little community colleges or something like that. Go over there and say, yes, I crossed and wooty wham wham, girl, gonna change your life. Do you hear me? Now I just gave you the game. Do with that as you please. I'm telling you, this is real life. I'm laughing, but I'm dead ass serious. This is real life. Y'all want to come up? That's why. Let's move on because I'm just trying to tell y'all how to do it. I done seen it more than once. Okay.
Of dollars.
You see, African Afrocentric community support the war?
They are not. No. I'm just saying they are not pushing against the war. Yeah. Say way Martin King. I understand what you're saying. When April 4th of 67, you're right. 1 year before he was killed to the day, when he came out of Riverside Church with Kwame in a shirt and tie in the front row, waiting to hear, because he called and said, you got to hear this. He comes out against the war. Boule men are told to be domestic, not international. Mickey Leland was Sigma Pi Phi. He tried to stop a starvation going on in Ethiopia, Somalia.
He got killed on the plane.
His plane crashes
Yep.
into the mountain. Congressman from Texas, he dies. Ron Brown, Martin King, no question. Martin King became international, and that became his biggest sin. He was financed by some of the greatest foundations America ever had to offer. But if they get beyond the defined limit, then there's trouble.
In terms of young people today who are on college campuses who want to join fraternities and sororities, what is your advice?
It's interesting. The movie Stomp the Yard. I thought that was an interesting attempt to try to
Advertisement. A Different World. Who all watched A Different World and wanted to go to college and join a fraternity? I did. Put a one in the chat. I know I did. I wanted to go to college because of A Different World. Oh, and if you're a little older than me, and even though this is also to school days, this here's advertisement. It's no different from being on the yard and seeing them scroll on TikTok. It's all advertisement. When I saw School Days, or when I saw really A Different World, I started on School Days. But when I was young watching A Different World, and I seen Whitley was in the, her little group, and then Kim, and I wanted to be in. It's advertisement. It's no different from the army on the commercial saying be all you can be, and then everybody go and sign up. You get it? But this was advertisement. Let me let them cook.
construct the options because they are catching hell in the streets. There is a rise of Kemetic-centered, African-centered societies that are repudiations of Greeks. And this is on the rise on many of the campuses around the country. And many of those fraternities and sororities, like the American military, were finding reduced numbers, questions of hazing and brutality. And see, that's an important thing about a secret society is the initiation or the ritual, which is an act of submission. I would never want anyone to underestimate when someone goes on that line and they beat them or they make them do things or unusual things or ridicule them, that act is an act of submission. And that's very essential to keeping a secret society in order. How do you command that subordination? And so for today, when they're on the campuses, they see the Boule. If you look to the Boule Journal, you can look up sigmapi5.net. You can hit up my website, stevecoakley.com, and then you can link into their website. You look at their Boule Journal, you see what they play up. They're the head of everything. They're announcing every key position they have. They're the advisor to every person, every corporation. They're the black head of American Express. You know, we can just walk on down the line of those that roles were theirs and only theirs. No one got past. You know, I noticed that Harold Washington, our black mayors were uniquely Boule. Andy Young when he was Atlanta, Dinkins when he was New York, Bradley when he was Los Angeles. But none of those men were able to groom their man. So Bradley was mayor 20 years, but didn't have Bradley too. You know, Dinkins couldn't turn it over to anybody. Them white folk walked and beat on his door to run him out. Different cities. Detroit, Coleman Young was not a Boule member. Harold Washington was not a Boule member. And the relationship between the white financial firms and Harold Washington was uniquely different than it was with men who were more trusted.
Brother Steve.
Yeah, it just made me think about something we had talked about. You know, as a young brother in Chicago, really wanting to get involved in the movement. When I came back from college, there were various options. Was in Chicago, and the black politics at 75 was still dominated by Mayor Daley, Ralph Metcalf, who was the first person to break away, whose assistant was Harold Washington, who eventually became the mayor. That first congressional district, which Bobby Rush, former Black Panther, is the congressman in now. That district, we had Hakeem Mahabuti there. Bobby Wright was on the west side. The NAACP, the Urban League.
Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah, I was going to say, the minister actually came to Chicago just a couple of years later when Elijah Muhammad died, and he was brought in from New York and then stripped by Wallace D. And he stayed in Chicago. With that period of coming back, there was not a lot of things to get involved in. As I'm scratching, I found a book, None Dare Call It Conspiracy. It's a white, right-wing kind of guidebook. And it says sometimes some things about us are communists or something. But I looked through that and I saw relationships with General Electric and Exxon Mobil. And I looked at all, and these relationships I started to research. It wasn't until I found them in Chicago that Chicago accepted what I was trying to say. We used to have one radio show came on WJPC, Johnson Publishing, who is Boule, Ebony Jet, etc. And Vernon Jarrett was the host of the show, who I didn't know was head of the Boule at that time, Chicago Tribune columnist, started AXO for the NAACP. And one day I called in and I was trying to explain some of this stuff and he cut me off. He said, we're not going to have any of that. I didn't know he was Boule. When I ended up becoming special assistant to the mayor, the other special assistant was Erwin France, who was head of Model Cities under Mayor Daley. He was an alpha like the mayor, they buddies, all of this and that. But I was a threat to him, but I didn't know at that time he was head of the Boule. It wasn't until later. And then that's when I went to my friends, my African-centered friends in Chicago, and say, hey, man, I'm researching these white folks, and I think I found the black folks connected to the white folks. And then I started finding black folks' names, African-centered black folks' names. Jake Carruthers, you know, and now Jake Carruthers is my hero in Chicago. He's in a group with Bobby and Conrad and Bob Starks, a lot of people, Anderson Thompson, people I love. He said, man, we got to talk. Let's talk about that. And I started looking up other names. I saw Asa Hilliard's name, and so I felt that as I began to get deeper into this relationship, I began to notice that my African-centered friends were less happy about me getting to the bottom of this, and they wanted to focus me on. I remember they taking me in a room. I used to work for Bobby Wright. I remember them taking me in the research room. They had put this map of the United States. And they had all these little pin boards on Montana, Utah, Wyoming. Said, now we want you to focus on these guys. I said, well, what bank do they run? And I was trying to say that the First National Bank of Chicago was Chase Manhattan, because the guy left Chase, came to Chicago, took it over. Well, time came. First National Bank of Chicago merged with Bank One of Ohio. They merged with the National Bank of Detroit. That's the region. They all merged with Chase, who had just merged with JP Morgan. And now Rockefeller got the banks from New York all the way to Chicago, nonstop. Every one of them locked down. But the Chicago was resistant to accepting this focus. See, why aren't our people focused on ExxonMobil? Why no protests against high-ass oil prices, you know? I make my children know who's on the boards of all these corporations, the private equity firms that own all of the stock, Vanguard, Wellington, Global, Barclay Global. These companies are obscure to our community. We're not knowing, we're not focusing on the white supremacy that's coming at us. The Klan is not a threat to our African community. They're not coming in the neighborhood, but Chase and Goldman Sachs and Lazard Perez and Standard & Poor's and Moody's, obscure bond rating companies that can control cities that our people don't mess with, you know. I showed in Chicago and Cincinnati, which had one of the best boycotts of any city. It is. I mean, it was, and it still went on. Just last weekend, they tried to come back with a big festival. Mary J. Blige pulled out. Some more people pulled out. Kind of made it lose money. And but there in Cincinnati, we targeted 3 people: the Taft family, which runs the state, Skull and Bones. Taft family still today. The government.
You heard him say Mary J. and them pulled out. Remember, he's hosting an anti-Boule event. And Mary J. pulled out. You think that was on Mary's own recognizance? Hell no. Mary Handler said, don't you get your ugly ass out there. Stay your ugly ass here. That's why she pulled out. Look, it's all, I told you, entertainment is all connected. Let them cook.
In Cincinnati, we targeted 3 people: the Taft family, which runs the state, Skull and Bones. Taft family still today. The governor was just left as governor. We targeted Procter and Gamble. And we targeted Carl Linder, who owned Chiquita Bananas. And when we got through harassing Chiquita Bananas, some of our friends at the radio station there had stock, $119 a share. When we finished with him, it went to $5.40 a share, and he sold Chiquita. Now, what I'm trying to say is there's a vulnerability in America that has not been exercised by our community because our secret societies have been pledged never to tell us those vulnerabilities. They work for them. They patch them. They protect them. They act like they don't exist, but they serve them. And they never utter against them, even never whisper to us. If you saw on that Boule tape when we were there messing at the convention, I told my buddies, we're not here to recruit them. We don't want them to be better brothers. We want to warn them that if they're the guard dog on white supremacy, when we jump the fence, what you going to do? You're going to bite, you're going to fight, or you're going to run out and let us get to who we after. But how do we get to who we after when we got all this wing and wang out here? all this distraction, all this misfocusing, and then is there complicity in our community. When some people killed Martin King, when some people killed Malcolm X, did that neutralize our present leadership, who are byproducts of assassination? Did this put us in a bind? Do we have a lot of old paper out there that white folks work when they want to keep us in a bind that we don't seem to talk back? How can they make $10 billion in 90 days in an oil company that was broken up when a white woman attacked them in 1911, Tarbell? They broke them companies up, them Standard Oils. And then they brought them all back together. Exxon got with Mobil, Chevron got back with Texaco, and all the things Rockefeller broke up got put back together.
Let me ask you a question. So would you say, because it seems to me the common denominator of all the corporations in the system you're talking about is capitalism/imperialism. So that in fact, organizations that are anti-capitalist as a theoretical formulation and specifically target these multinational corporations, oligarchies, that is the path of liberation for African people and destruction of this economic and political system. And maybe that's why also in this historical period we exist today, you find that very few so-called African nationalist or progressive organizations are anti-capitalist. In fact, what they're saying is we want to be part of the system as opposed to attack capitalism, but we want black capitalists instead of European capitalists.
Yes.
And you know, it's the one thing we have to be careful for as time has progressed. If you were to go to Toynbee Hall in London when they created social work, when the rich felt it was necessary to infiltrate the poor so that they aspired through the tentacles of the rich that had been spread out amongst them, that if you fought capitalism all day and you ended up not fighting the social service network, you would find there's another aspect that might not even pledge to be capitalist at all, might pledge to be helping the people.
But most of the social service network are either financed by nonprofits, churches, foundations, the state, cultural affairs departments of different different cities, some we can go down a whole list of these funding sources. So in the final analysis, if we go after the capitalist system as a theoretical formulation, but pinpoint, as you say, with laser here, focus the specific corporations as a category to be assessed, especially in terms of the impact upon African people, like you say, the poor, the standard, and these multiple bond association that finance or definance infrastructure in our communities, and as capital is now going to Iraq and Afghanistan to build their economic and social structure at the expense of ours.
There is a web. There's sports. They're the media. They're education. They're social service. They're astronauts. They're the church. They are all of that. They are the secret societies too. And they all work in a loose-knit fashion, and they keep disagreements within a manageable limit. Let me just say a couple things real quick.
We've got about 60 seconds. And I want you to give out the website.
This Saturday at the FIBA Center, I'm going to give a free lecture. This Saturday.
I need you guys to pay attention to this. First of all, rest in peace to the elder, to the ancestor, Steve Coakley. That man was the God's honest truth. And again, when he say African, I keep telling y'all know we were under that Pan-African movement. This is the first generations. We are the first generations who come up out of there. So when they say African, we got to give them a pass because they didn't know. They didn't have the information that we have now. However, the message is still the same. These Boule buffer system people are put in place to keep their foot on your neck, and they be part of the talented 10 or 10%. And their job is to keep the rich and elite people rich and elite, and keep you stupid and dumb and poor while they live in a higher middle class or sometimes high class or you know what I mean? High class state. That's their job. That's what they are hired for. Only for that. Nothing other than that. That's literally why they're here. No other purpose whatsoever. That is why these people are here. Now, it's hard because when you really think about it, when you truly think about it, you be saying to yourself, man, like, hold on, but this don't make sense because my cousin is a Delta, or my cousin is a Q, or my little brother, or my aunt, or my mama is a Kappa. And guess what? They got their privileges too from being in that stuff. But ultimately, there's a class system or a caste system in every single environment, and every single doggone thing. So your parents or your brother, your cousin, maybe they're just at the bottom and they know the bare minimum. But I guarantee you this. There's a reason why Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone, well, Dr. Jackie in particular, is talking to Skamala Harris and not the other AKAs. Everybody got you get it? Do your own research. Please do your own research. My job is to just open your eyes and open your mind, open that third eye, and get you to see something a little bit different. That's what Educational Friday is all about. We're trying to relearn what we were taught, because what we were taught is all lies, all of it, with a sprinkle of truth just to say that it happened. Okay, so with that being said, you guys, shout out to everybody in the building. You guys, I love Educational Friday. Y'all know this is my favorite time of the year, time of the week. TLT, thank you for the super chat. Congratulations, Boo. Love Educational Fridays. Thank you so much. You guys, I need y'all to do me a favor. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I'm not going to hold y'all up too much longer. We got a lot going on this weekend. Oh, next weekend, I probably will be here Friday to do Educational Friday. If not, I'm going to New Orleans next weekend. My best friend mama birthday, and she got a big old birthday party. But nevertheless, listen, do me a favor, like the video. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, because we come back here every Friday. And if y'all like Educational Friday, you're gonna love the morning jokes, because we really jokes bad on the morning jokes. But it's kind of like educational yet pop culture yet. It's a mixture of it all. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all know how we roll around here. If you're new, welcome to the channel, because we're about to do what? Joe Shaw up out of here, so I can finish redoing these braids, child. Love y'all down to the ground. Shout out to the doll, from the doll, all the dolls and Don. Peace.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Come on. That's right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go. It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat. You know what I won't blaze up. Come on, blaze up.
It's a beat for me.
Wow, 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 wow. For your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we live. For your boy. For your boy. Also for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your, lift it up. Benny, bust it open, lift it up. Yeah, come on, lift it up. Benny, bust it open for your B-O-Y. Benny, for your rockin' for your lift it up, baby. Mix it with your bossa now. Come on, Blaze, so you know. Drop me a nasty beat.
Mr. Carroll, how you give the voodoo doll time to talk? I don't get no fucking time to talk.
Who the voodoo doll is?
The nigga you